We have to build those platforms so that the day that Google, Spotify, and all of them decide that they've had enough of us, we will have somewhere to stand. And I believe that we can do that. Once again, I'm glad to see everybody, particularly the young one. Welcome. We are the next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olumide Iyoda. I like that your online thing. I like the acronym you guys chose. What was it again? There was a time if you were a journalist in Nigeria, you knew about going, you didn't know about coming. I mean, like, in those days, freedom of expression was what? Oh, you don't remember those days? I would say I was talking about the days when Oga was wearing goggles, but let's not go any further. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're passionately or repentantly Nigerian, please give yourself a round of applause. I've said I won't do any recognitions here today. The only people I'll be recognizing are people who will be sitting on this part of the divide and talking to us. But you see, sometimes some people walk in and you can't help it. So please, one more time, hold anybody next to you and tell the person your name again. And J9, So you people did this thing for Olumide free of charge. Okay. I'm going to Canada for a tour. We have not paid fully for the ticket, so I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just trying to say that I pay my dues too. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when technology, innovation, and creativity come together, the possibility for Nigeria are limitless. Our next speaker is a proven leader who has spent over close to 20 years at the intersection of technology, innovation, policy, and enterprise across Germany, the United Kingdom, and now Nigeria. A former special assistant on innovation to the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he played a key role in shaping national strategies for Nigeria's digital technology and creative ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, he will be talking to us later, but please, he's our keynoter, Mr. Ife Adebayo. Can I have a round of applause for him? Also here with us, ladies and gentlemen, is the remarkable Anwuli Ojogwu. Can I have a round of applause for Anwuli, please? We are blessed to have in our midst a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador. In fact, a woman who needs no introduction. Please welcome the irrepressible Ajoke Silva, MFR. And by the way, she's an Akokite, great Akokite. It's so heartwarming to sit down at the same table. There's another man who, when you hear Nigerian musicians sing Mende, is one of such men they are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I'll say more about him later. Welcome the great Efe Omorogbe. A round of applause for him. My brother, my friend, a trailblazer, and one of those that have consistently shown that the entertainer is not a ne'er-do-well. Please welcome the remarkable Yibo Koko. A round of applause for him, please. Also in the room with us today, I'd like for you to please welcome one lady who will be in the midst of titans, telling them jump. And when she tells them to jump, they will ask her how high. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the delectable, golden-voiced treasure. A round of applause for her, ladies and gentlemen. The part of her name I love the most is Ikeja Funke Treasure. A round of applause for her, please. As the evening progresses, or the day progresses, because I've collected visa, I've used Olumide's name to collect visa at home. I've told my wife, you know, these summits can last deep into the night. And you know Nigeria is not safe. You always tell me, don't drive late. And when I was growing up, and a lot of you, your parents told you, Omota bire, the child that is well brought up does not roam about at night. That might not be coming back till next week. But ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome someone who is not just a player in his industry, but who over time has played unknown to a lot of people in the creative sector. This man was the first person who asked me to bring a lot of comedians to his house on his birthday for a celebration. He's the first person in that business world to sponsor my show. And when Olamide said, oh, he will be here, I was very excited. You know, back in the days, he traveled and told me, he got me something. Then, you know, when, and Sipimbo, you know now, when somebody tells you, I brought something for you from abroad. So I went to see him. I got to his office, we had lunch. He gave me a brown envelope. Brown envelope. And in those days, I was very close to journalists. And you know what brown envelope means? But this brown envelope was big. I was excited. I couldn't wait to get to the car. When I got to the car and opened it, I saw a book inside. I didn't know whether to swear for him. But ladies and gentlemen, that book was a compilation of 50,000 jokes for every occasion. It wasn't money then, but it became money later. So there are those who witness history and there are those who create it. This morning, I want us to celebrate this visionary entrepreneur, technocrat, and transformational leader whose remarkable contributions have helped shape Nigeria's digital landscape. You might not have heard of his name, but you must have heard of NIN, SIM card registration, BVM, INEC voters database. His leadership has turned ambitious national projects into remarkable realities. A man who transformed Charms from a one-man enterprise into a publicly quoted company and whose innovation earned Guinness World recognition. Today, as executive chairman of Smart City PLC, he continues to champion technology, smart ideas, economic transformation, and to support young people. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome chairman of the occasion for QEDNG Summit 2.0, the visionary innovator, nation builder, Sir Demola Alade Okomo, who is represented by his MD at Smart City PLC, Mr. Gabriel Ukachukwu. A round of applause for him, please. Please do not stop clapping. His book is still working for me.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, government representatives, business leaders, investors, creatives, artists, content creators, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I bring you greetings from Sir Demola Alade Okomo, and I'm deeply honored to be here this morning for the creativity, culture, and Nigeria's next chapter. Sir Demola Alade Okomo asked me to convey his greetings, his appreciation for being a part of this important conversation. His deep belief in the extraordinary possibility that exists within Nigeria, and particularly within Nigerian creative spirit, is solely appreciated. Now, you know that Nigeria is not suffering from shortage of creativity. Am I correct? But we have suffered perhaps from not fully recognizing the economic and strategic value of creativity. Our music travels farther than our diplomats. Our films tell Nigerian stories to audience who may never have visited Nigeria. Our fashion influences global stage. You can see all of us here this morning. Our culture is one of the few Nigerian assets that the world consumes willingly, repeatedly, and emotionally. And that should make us pause. Because when the world is willing to consume our creativity, the question should no longer be whether Nigeria has something to offer. The question is whether Nigeria is organized enough to capture the value. Our next chapter cannot simply be about producing more creative content. It must be about building a creative economy. A creative economy requires infrastructure. It requires capital. It requires intellectual protection. It requires skills. It requires distribution. It requires technology. It requires serious business models. It requires institutions that understand what the creative spirit is all about. And perhaps the most important thing is it requires us to change the way we think about creatives. A good number of us still think that creatives are people who are looking for the next paycheck. We need to have a mindset shift to know that the creatives or the creative industry is here to build the nation. The creative entrepreneur should be seen as a business builder. He or she should be seen as an entrepreneur, an employer, an exporter, an owner of intellectual property, a potential and a creator of significant economic value. Now, United Nations Trade and Investment estimate the global export of creative services in 2024 to have reached $1.7 trillion. $1.7 trillion. What does this tell us? It tells us that creativity is no longer a margin of the global economy. It is a part of the global economy. Countries that understand this are beginning to build deliberate systems around their creative industries. The UK, for example, has adopted a long-term creative industry sector plan built around investment, innovation, skills, access to finance, export, and regional growth. The lesson is not for Nigeria to copy them. The lesson is that successful countries do not leave strategically important industries to chance. So we should not leave the creative industry to chance. So what should we do? What does economy that understand this do? They build ecosystem around them. And that is the conversation I hope we can have today. Not simply what does the government need to do for the creatives, but what ecosystem must government, business, investors, technology companies, financial institutions, educational institutions, and creatives build together. Because government cannot do it alone. Businesses cannot do it alone. Creatives cannot do it alone. Investors cannot do it alone. But together, we can build an industry. So this takes me to 5 questions that I believe we need to answer here this morning. The first one is, how do we move from talent to enterprise? Because talent without structure is just a hustle. So how do we move from talent to enterprise? My second question is, how do we finance creativity? The third one is, how do we protect and monetize intellectual property? How do we do that? Now, the fourth question is, how do we take Nigerian creativity to the world? We already see it happen. Our music is top-notch. Nollywood, our content creators are doing very, very well. So our ambition must be global and not local. And the fifth question I would like to ask us is this: how do we ensure that the people in this room become global thinkers? How do our mindsets think global? What does Nigerian next generation inherit from us? The next gens are in this room, I believe. So what do they inherit from us? This perhaps is the most important question, because we are not merely discussing entertainment. We are discussing the kind of country we want to build. A country where young filmmakers can build a company, where a designer can build a global brand, where a content creator can employ 10, 50, and 500. That is Nigeria I believe we should be discussing. And perhaps this is where I would like us to bring in the perspective of someone like Ademola Aladekomo. I don't need to say anything much. Our own Benga Adenka has said so much about him. I'll just say that his journey in building ingenious business has been rooted in simple philosophy. Nigerians do not have to wait for someone to do it for us. We should do it ourselves. And that philosophy is particularly relevant to the creative economy, because Nigerians' greatest creative resource is not oil, it's not land, it's not infrastructure, it's the people. It's our imagination, it's our stories, our ability to create, adapt, and reinvent with people emotionally. So perhaps the challenge before us today is not to ask whether Nigeria has enough creativity. We know that Nigeria does have enough creativity. So I'd like to leave us with one thought. Nigeria's next chapter should not be merely written by Nigerians. It should be imagined by Nigerians, created by Nigerians, owned by Nigerians, and consumed by the world. If you can get that right, then creativity will not simply tell the story of Nigeria's next chapter. It will help write it. Thank you very much, and I wish you a truly productive and consequential conversation. Thank you.
Mr. Gabriel Ukechukwu, Managing Director, Smart City Resort PLC, representing our chairman, Sir Demola Aladekomo. Can I have a louder round of applause for him, please? Okay, I just got a message that if we do not leave here by 2 o'clock, the convener will call my wife and tell her that he has revoked my visa. So we'll be running at the speed of light now. Ladies and gentlemen, practically all our panelists are here. I just saw walking in the father of Lagos, Mr. Steve Babaeko. Can I have a round of applause for him, please? And so please, let's get into the meat of the matter. 16 years at the intersection of technology, innovation, policy, and enterprise across different continents, from Germany to United Kingdom and now Nigeria. Former Special Assistant on Innovation to the Vice President of the Federal Republic. He played a key role in the shaping of national strategies for Nigeria's digital technology and creative ecosystem. Today, he leads the iDICE program at the Bank of Industry. And that man who said earlier, he came here to see how his business can grow. Just touch the tip of his garment and your issue will disappear. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, he drives skills development, access to finance, and an enabling environment for businesses across Nigeria's technology and creative sector. He's a strategist, an innovator, a passionate believer in the Nigerian project and Nigeria's greatness. Please join me in welcoming with a resounding round of applause our keynote speaker, Mr. Ife Adebayo. A round of applause for him, please. No, don't touch it now. Let him finish. The man was coming to touch his garment, sharp, sharp.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And thanks, everyone, and good afternoon. Good morning. Yes, it's still morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. When I got the invitation, and I also realized that when I saw the list of people who were on the panels, and also saw, names like people like Mommy Joke Silva, I was very afraid, and I said, what note am I keying, in this room? And I tried to dodge it, and I mentioned to my colleague Tunde, I don't know if I'm going to do this. But then I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Tolu Ogulesi, and he said, oh, who is behind this? And I said, Mr. Olumide, and he said, oh, if it's Olumide, I can assure you, you should go. And he spoke really amazing things about you, and just basically gave me the confidence and said, if he's the one inviting you, you can go. I can assure you that you should go. So I appreciate the honor. Thank you very much, and I'm honored to be in the presence of all of you, distinguished fellows. Many of you, I grew up listening to, watching. So it's a great privilege to be here today. And beyond that, it's also, a great and awesome opportunity to be able to engage with the creative sector and to see what you're doing, Mr. Olumide, around encouraging the younger people who are coming on board. And also looking at the financiers in the room, the banks, bringing together also the ecosystem. I think these are some of the conversations and the collaborations that are important, so that everyone can listen to each other. And like the chairman's representative said, everyone can begin to realize that one unit cannot bring the change that we require, but we all must work together. But I'll start today to speak about a story about a country that is not Nigeria. In 1986, there was a film that opened in American cinemas. I was still a toddler. I'm sure people like my Bengadenka will probably have been watching that as maybe married men at the time. The movie was Top Gun, and it opened in cinemas in America. And it was about a hot-headed fighter pilot, a naval fighter pilot. And a lot of accounts said this was just an advertisement for the American Navy aviation. But after that movie, the United States Navy reported applications jumped by as much as 500%. So that meant if the US Navy had one fighter pilot application prior to that in a day, they started having 500. It was so serious that recruiters were putting tables in cinemas so that as people have finished watching the movies, people were coming in to sign up to join the US Navy to become pilots. A man named Philip Straub, the man who at the time was running the Pentagon's entertainment office, and he had run the place for like 30 years. He said there is no amount that the Navy could have paid for such publicity. But what did they do? All they provided was support. Not a penny of the US Navy went into that movie. So if you think about that, the most powerful military on earth, with the largest budget in human history, confessing that its most effective recruiter was not a weapon, was not a general, was not a budget line. It was a story. It was culture. It was a young man with good teeth and a leather jacket, and a nation confident enough to let its artists sell its story to the world. So my question for us in this room, if a film can build the image of an army, as a country in Nigeria, what could our films, our music, our fashion, our comedy, our animation, built for our nation of 200 million people who are already, whether we admit it or not, the storytellers of the African continent. But before we speak about what our stories can build, I'll also speak about, so you give me a second. My eyes are no longer as good as they used to be. So I need to brighten my screen better than it was. Okay, so this is good now. Yeah, so before we speak about what our stories can build, let's tell about what the absence of these stories has cost us. And because for me, the absence of these stories is not theory. It's something I've lived. It's practical for me. So I'm one of the lucky few. So at the time, I don't know how it's done now. At the time, if you wanted to join the Nigerian Air Force Military School JOS, you had to be the top 3 in your state. So the top 3 from every state, I think the top 5 from every state is selected to go for interviews, and the top 3 are selected to join the military school. So I was one of the lucky few who got to attend the Air Force Military School JOS in the 90s. So because of that, I have many friends, my classmates, my seniors, my juniors, that are currently fighting, that have fought, some currently fighting against insurgency in this country. And I lost one of them, my godfather, Efe Omorogbe, to an IED blast in 2014. So he wore the uniform of the Nigerian Army. He went to the Northeast, left his family, stood between us and the terrorists. But he did not come home. I saw his wife's pain. I saw his children's pain. But most importantly, a country's quiet loss. One of his classmates told me, SK is a chief of army staff the army will never have. What stays with me most? This story has never been told. And he is one of thousands. Men and women who have fought and who are fighting for this country as I stand speaking here to you today. Think of your mornings in this very room. For most of us, we wake up. So I left home this morning, I kissed my children goodbye for a trip to Lagos. So some of you, you've kissed your spouses, your children, your parents goodbye. They've gone to Abuja, Enugu, maybe some to London, America, and then you went back to bed. But who tells the story of the wife who kisses her husband goodbye into the Sambisa forest, not knowing whether that is the last time she will ever see him? Who tells the story of the child born while his father slept in a trench in the rain, 1,000 miles from the delivery room? I have a friend who was fighting terrorists, and he was released to go for his wedding. And on the day of the wedding, I told him, he told me, oh, he's off for 2 weeks honeymoon. And that was a Saturday. So he was to go on his honeymoon with his wife for 2 weeks. He was recalled on Sunday, the next day after his wedding. So by Monday, he was back in the bush. America turned its soldiers into legends the whole world will recognize. We have not yet told the story of ours, not even to our own children. That is what a story left untold costs a nation. And it is exactly what the power of art and storytelling has the power to reshape. But I have hope, because we're not starting from zero. We're starting from a giant that does not know its size. Nollywood, by volume, the second largest film industry on the planet, created an estimated 1 million jobs. It's the second largest employer in this country after agriculture. And it did that for years without any help from anybody. People like Mami Joke Silva started, no support, did all what they did. And the MBS puts the output of our arts, entertainment, and motion picture sector at about over 700 billion naira. So this is a sector that has grown more than 150% over the last decade. When Netflix quietly invested about $23 million a year It supported over 5,000 jobs and licensed more than 250 of our films. That is what our creative economy does while it is still, in policy terms, mostly still an orphan. And from statistics, our entire creative economy contributes roughly 1.2% of our GDP. That's the lowest of any benchmark African country that we can be proud to compare ourselves to. So if we compare us, for example, to South Africa, smaller country, fewer people, without our raw cultural firepower. Nobody is streaming Joburg the way they would stream Lagos. Every time I'm in an African country, whether it's Kenya, whether it's Rwanda, whether it's South Africa, everybody wants to visit Lagos. And yet, the cultural and creative industries in South Africa contribute close to 3% of their GDP and support roughly 1.4 million jobs. Their creative sector is now about the same size as agriculture. And what's the difference between us and them? It's not talent. In fact, our talent is not even close. We're way further. The difference is that they count it, they structure it, they finance it. We have the louder voice. They built the microphone, provided better infrastructure, supported with better policies. And if we look further to a country that made a decision 40 years ago, South Korea. South Korea was known for one thing: factories, ships, semiconductors. Then it chose deliberately a national strategy to export its culture. The results are almost difficult to say out loud. In 1 year, Korea's culture-related exports were worth about $14 billion. A single Netflix series, Squid Game, added over $900 million in value the moment it aired. There is one global example. Consider a single company, not a factory, not an oil major like Shell. A Korean band called BTS, a music band, is estimated to add $5 billion to the Korean economy every year. One band. That is the comparison to the annual export of Hyundai, the Korean car maker. So a band contributes the same to the economy as all the Hyundai cars that are exported. That's the power of the creative sector. And what is the BTS band? It's just 7 young men singing. They're worth a car company. So tell me we do not have 7 young men and women in Lagos, in Enugu, in Kano, in Benin City, who could do the same. If we finance them like an industry instead of admiring them like a hobby. If we provide the platforms, the infrastructure, both physical, virtual, and the policies that support them and keep them here. So, what are the issues and where are the gaps? Skills. We have raw talent in abundance, but are they really employable? The employability surveys tell us the gaps are exactly where the money is. Cinematography, product management, animation, the craft behind the camera. When I engage with creatives, I hear you have to, if you want to do a movie, you have to bring in some cameras from South Africa and Morocco. But not just that, you have to bring in the human that will operate it. Capital. The average Nollywood film has historically been made on a budget, a fraction of what a single day costs a serious studio abroad. A great script in this country does not die because it is bad. It dies because it is broke. And then the third is structure. There is no intellectual property protection worth the name. And the chairman's representative also spoke about this. There is no formal pathway from a bedroom idea to a bankable enterprise. So genius in Nigeria has always been forced to freelance. And when you freelance to finance structures to get paid, keep your money in, keep your data in. If we structure IP properly, sorry I keep mentioning Mom Joke Silva, I'm a fan. If you structure an IP, she should be rubbing shoulders with Oprah. So these things are critical. They are important. So now, when we were building the iDICE program, we tried to look at some of these issues. And while the program is not the solution to all the problems, we try to identify some of the critical issues and at least begin to solve them. iDICE is the Investment in Digital and Creative Enterprises program, a commitment of the federal government of Nigeria, funded by the African Development Bank, Agence Française de Développement, Islamic Development Bank, and the Bank of Industry. It is under the oversight of His Excellency Vice President Kashim Shettima. The design for the program provides some of the answers to the 3 problems I just named. How you will see that these problems are not far-fetched and you don't need a genius to recognize them is that when Mr. Olamide spoke, he mentioned the same problems. When the chairman spoke, he mentioned the same problems. So we know the problems. And we've been speaking about, I'm sure all of you in this room have been in rooms where these problems have been spoken about. But we must now start to get serious to build the structures and the solutions to them. It begins with skills. On the iDICE program, we'll be training thousands of people in specific bankable crafts, not certificates, skills for set, for studio, or even most importantly, we'll be working with enterprise support organizations who also support startups. The chairman spoke about how you start to fund an artist as an industry, as a company. So how do artists start to do what the tech sector in Nigeria has managed to do, which is start to turn their talents into companies. And this is why, as part of the iDICE program, we're working with universities where we have the largest concentration of our young people, universities and polytechnics, and we're setting up, at the moment, 66 enterprise support systems within those spaces. And I was having a conversation with my colleague in the car, and he told me, while we were on oversight visits to the institutions to determine which institutions will get this support, that you will get to a university, you will see this building by TET Fund, locked down. This building by CBN, locked down. NITDA built this for us, locked down. PTDF built this for us, locked down. Computers, gathering dust. So the design of iDICE looks into that, and one of the package that universities and polytechnics have been forced to accept is that you must have a private sector partner that will run these institutions with you for 3 years. But beyond that, these private sector partners, part of their own deliverables to the Bank of Industry and to the federal government is that they must build in a sustainability framework so that when they're handing over to the universities, they've not just passed on knowledge, they're ensuring that those spaces can be sustainable. Because what makes those spaces work is in 10 years' time, we should be able to count the new enterprises, the new startups in the creative and the tech sector that have come out of those institutions and are now on CNN. And now on, hopefully NTA becomes like CNN also, and are now globally on NTA and are showcasing Nigeria to the world. Then if you move to capital, and this is a very big part of it, we are building a real financial staircase. So on the iDICE program, we have 2 pools of funds. The first is an equity pool. For that equity pool, we have a tech fund. On that tech fund, we have a tech fund manager. The beauty of this is each of our fund managers cannot be pushed by us, governments, where to put money because they are mandated to match the funds. So for every dollar you get on the iDICE program, you have to go and raise another dollar to match it. And we've seen how that works with our tech fund manager, Ventures Platform Limited. We committed $26 million through the Bank of Industry to Ventures Platform. As at first close last year, he had closed the fund at $64 million. So he has more than doubled the money the federal government has given him. And we're in good company. The other investors in that fund are the British International Limited, International Finance Corporation, Proparco, that's a subsidiary of the French Development Agency, Standard Bank of South Africa. So the confidence that these international investors have to put their money in is showing that if we put government money in the right way with the right partners, we can crowd in other funds. And it shows that African money can bring in global funding if it is done right. So these fund managers will now invest. So what it means is, even if my twin brother, I don't have one, if I had one, my twin brother wants to collect funds from Ventures Platform, and I tell them, they will tell me, it's not only your money, I have other people's money in this pot. You can't determine where I put it. And that's why we structured it that way, to ensure that there is no political interference in the way this is done, to ensure that these funds can go directly to the people that need it and impact the people that it's supposed to impact. We also have the Creative Fund. We're in the process of engaging a creative fund manager. That has taken a bit longer because, interestingly, at the moment in Nigeria, there is no dedicated equity fund to the creative sector. While there are a couple of venture capital companies that have invested in creative activities in movies and other things, but there is no dedicated fund to the creative sector, and this would be the first. And it's being championed by the Bank of Industry. So we're hoping to announce that before the end of the year. But this fund will follow the same route. We'll be looking for a general partner that already has shown the ability to raise financing, the ability to invest in the creative sector, and understanding of the networks in the creative sector, so that this fund will also be used well. And then the third part of the equity fund is the fund of funds. So this is a fund that will invest in smaller funds. And we set this one up because while the big boys like Ventures Platform and Kuramo Capital, who has won our fund of funds program, can easily come in and get funds. But what of the other smaller ones? So the 50,000 books joke, all that money, you may want to set up a fund to say, let me help other artists, other comedians that are coming up. What this fund of funds does is you can now ask him, that your $1 million, sir, we can match you another $1 million. Now, if he will have been able to support only 10 comedians before, now he can support 20. So that's the idea of the fund of funds. And that has been launched by Kuramo Capital, and the announcement is out. People can start to apply for that. So if you have an investment fund, you can apply to that fund. They will match you, and you'll be able to extend your investments. The second bucket of funds that we have is the debt funds. And for that, we have a $45 million commitment from the Bank of Industry, subject to the bank's own risk assessment criteria. That has also been launched. And then we have another one, $65 million Islamic finance. And when I say Islamic finance, it does not mean you have to be a Muslim. It just means that it is bound by its own ethical requirements. So meaning it wouldn't fund alcohol, for example. But it's also $65 million available to creators that have ethical messages in their creation. So these are all opportunities that are available, and it's the second part of what we looked at after we looked at skills and enterprise, which is access to capital. And I know that all these monies will not solve the problem of the ecosystem, but it is showing a framework and a style and a method that can be used and can be replicated both by private sector. We have First Bank here, Zenith Bank. These are things that you can replicate to have the maximum impact that you can have. And then the final part of the iDICE program is some policy. So we're working with policymakers, regulators, to look at the key issues. One of the things we're doing at this moment is we're drafting an IP securitization framework. Because when you look at the issues of IP in Nigeria, you have the Department of Trade and Patenting in one ministry, you have Copyright Commission under Ministry of Justice, you have Ministry of Creative Economy. It's just all over the place. That's why IP cannot really be valued. So we're working to design a framework, and hopefully with the push of His Excellency, the Vice President, with his convening power, we'll be able to put everyone in a room and be able to define how we can start to value IP, and IP can start to be used as collateral in Nigeria, and IP of our creatives can become value to them. So, the future. I will be dishonest if I stood here and I spoke about the future of the creative economy without naming the force that's already making it, which is artificial intelligence, and that was talked about earlier. And I know the fear that a lot of people have is that the machine, that's AI, will flatten our voice, the voice of creatives. It will make every story sound the same, and it will take the bread from the animator and the editor and the writer. That fear is not, I mean, it's a valid fear, but AI is not the end of the Nigerian storyteller. And I think Mr. Efe, he responded to it earlier. It is the largest amplifier that the Nigerian storyteller has ever been handed. And when people ask me about AI, I usually tell them, we had the town crier in the olden days. Gun, 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 gun. The king said, I should tell you something. Gun, 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 gun. Now you have to, somebody just goes on Twitter and the president's essay on media, he has spoken to 200 million Nigerians. So the jobs are just going to change. It's not like they're going to go away. Nollywood is now the 5th largest film industry on earth, valued near $8 billion, and more than 70% of the watch time on Nigerian content comes from outside Nigeria. Afrobeat crossed 13 billion streams in a single year. Google reported that young Nigerians are quietly turning to AI, not to replace their craft, but to learn it, to master the guitar, to dub a film into Yoruba with the lips still moving in perfect time, to grade Lagos at dusk onto footage in seconds instead of days. That is the future in miniature. A young creator in Aba Onsuka who no longer needs a Hollywood budget to reach a Hollywood audience, because the barrier that used to cost millions now costs a data plan. A tool is only ever as powerful as the hands that hold it. If we do not train those hands, though, the value of this revolution will simply be exported and we will become consumers of our own genius all over again. So the future of our creative economy is not a choice between the human and AI. It has to be a partnership between the storyteller and the tool. And our task, and the task of everyone in this room, is to make sure that the storyteller is Nigerian, the skills are Nigerian, and the values stay Nigerian. And to the financiers in the room and every institution, we should stop treating film like a personal loan and start treating it like the asset class that it has become everywhere else on earth. The creative sector is not charity. It is the highest growth, youngest, most exportable industry you are not yet lending to. And to corporate Nigeria, your next brand campaign, your next market, your next reason a young customer trusts you will be written by the very creators in this room. Commission them, co-invest in them. Do not just sponsor the summit, fund the sector. This part, I want to say to government, but I'm government in a way. So I would drill down and say, especially to state and local governments, protect the intellectual property of creators as fiercely as we protect an oil pipeline. And move at the speed of the creator, not the speed of the government. So the creators, and the ones for whom every institution in this hall represents, keep telling the story. Tell the story of the founder, of the fashion designer. Tell the story of the soldier in the trench, the woman at the door waiting for a husband that is never coming home. And every Nigerian who has courage, whose courage has gone unrecorded. Because when you do, you are not just entertaining us. You are doing for Nigeria what a fighter pilot did for a foreign navy in 1986. You are selling this country to the world. Not the Nigeria of the headlines, but the Nigeria of the highlights. The one that is funny, brilliant, and most importantly, brave and unbreakable. And the Nigeria that is worth believing in. The theme of this summit is creativity, culture, and Nigeria's next chapter. So I'll leave you with this. The next chapter of Nigeria will not be written by government alone, will not be written by the private sector alone. It will be co-written by the creator, the financier, the policymaker, the entrepreneur, by everyone in this room, deciding that our story is too valuable to live untold and too powerful to live unfunded. South Korea sold the world a song. America sold the world a pilot. It is Nigeria's turn to sell the world a story. And this time, let us own it. Let us finance it, and let us keep it. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I think, honestly, I believe I should not tell us to clap. I think it deserves every round of applause we give. For those of us who are Gen Zs, For those of us who are Gen Zs and don't know about the film he spoke about, I'll go and read it up. Top Gun, Abi? I'll go and read it up and see how they were able to achieve so much. But he said something that really touched me. Our story must be told. And we must tell our stories. But you see, and we must own it. And the truth of it is that, and I discussed this with a lot of filmmakers, I grew up on the books of Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nzeogu, Obasanjo, Why We Stalk, and all that. You look around now and you hardly find books like that anymore. And young people need to read, and we need to tell our stories through movie, through music, but all the creators will be telling me, but Owo ni Kiekie in radio. Our big brother at a lot of people will touch the hem of your garments today, and you'll never be the same again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome a couple of people, but let me welcome one man that has consistently, although he's one of us, that's consistently supported this industry as far back as when he was a journalist, then he ran to PR, then he ran into communications. Wherever he has been, he has always made sure our industry has a voice. Please let's welcome the head honcho of corporate communications at First Bank, Mr. Yinka Ijabi. A round of applause for him, please. Mr. Remy Weke, I celebrate you. German Anikulakpo, can I have a round of applause for German Anikulakpo? Isaac Umunna from News Express, thank you for coming. Daylight newspaper, Azu Amatus, can I have a round of applause for him? Mayo Ayilaron of MCSN, a round of applause for him. Former editor and journalism teacher extraordinaire, Mr. Taiwo Obe, a round of applause for him. Mr. Funsho Aino, MTN Top Shot, you're welcome. Ademola Adebamigbe, editor of the news, you're most welcome. God bless you. I also want to celebrate and welcome Assistant Secretary of the Nigerian Guild of Editors and Publishers and publisher of Freedom Online, Gabriel Akin Dewo. Can I have a round of applause for my brother? Former media aide to the former Senate President Ken Ugbechi, you're welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Former media advisor to Ogbeni Rauf Adesoji Aregbeshola, a man after my heart who has never been with another woman since he got married. He said it himself. Semiu Okonlawon, I celebrate you. Former Chief Press Secretary to Governor Ambode Abib Aruna, you're most welcome. Director General of the Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board, where I remember we had a summit where he was asked, why are there no blood? Where is there no blood in Nigerian movies? Why is that when we shoot you, blood does not come out? Dr. Shuaib Hussein, I greet you. Yes, Azu Arinze, I greet you. And whilst we're getting that beautiful keynote, my friend and brother, former Commissioner Tourism, Arts and Culture, Information and Strategy, and a man who is an Arishe man now, Steve, I already walked in. A round of applause for him. I'll take a pause with recognitions now. We'll have 4 questions that we'll take before we move to the panel session. Please, let's keep them short and sharp. We'll just take 4 questions. Table of intellectuals. Please don't make it a jam question, A, B, C. I hope you have a pen, sir. We'll take all the 4 questions together, then you'll answer. Thank you. Your name and the question.
Thank you. My name is Anwuli Ojogwu. I'm a publisher. And my question is, following the keynote speech, there was a certain point of your keynote that stood out for me, and that was the Creative Fund, which if I understand, resembles the Tech Fund, whereby creators will match every money that is invested in them. Now, one of the things that concerned me, and as I was telling Auntie Joke here, that when I watched one of her interviews, she mentioned something about the creative industry and how it has a very long-term outlook. And anyone who's looking to invest in the creative industry should be looking at not receiving any ROI for the next 5-10 years, which is maybe not the same for blockbusters in Hollywood, but for the creative industry in general. So my question is, my question is that if you look at the creative industry and the Creative Fund resembles the Tech Fund, I understand why the Tech Fund would achieve such things. Now, the Creative Fund, if it's being looked upon as an SME business, I think that would be a grave mistake because of the long-term view in which we look at creative writing, creative industries. So what I think more or less it is a comment. I want to say that rather than investment, are you also looking at underwriting losses? Because you're probably looking at, and are you looking at a long-term view to the way that you invest in creative industries, from film to every other industries, who will not probably make back the kind of money that you are looking to make in the short term? Thank you.
Living legend, people, I greet you. God. Please write my loss too. I had a party. I was a big money. That's number 2. Can I have number 3? Number 2. Okay, we have just 2 questions then. So, this young man looking for investment.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My name is Adebayo. I'm also known as Walek the Fresh. I'm an artist and also a movie writer. Please, one of my main purposes of coming here today is about the creative funding you're talking about, sir. I wrote a movie. A part of me wrote in the movie, both the soundtrack that I created by myself as an artist. One of the things that inspired me to write the movie is about the problem that is happening among we young people today, the society prayer. But I need the funding, I need the support about the project. It's not about just the movie, we generating money alone. But the soundtrack created on the movie was created by me that we can also use to generate money, put on digital platform, on our streaming platform. Apart making money on the movie, we can also generate money fund on the streaming platform, both the soundtrack that I created by me. That's what I'm just seeking for support for about.
Okay, I hope you know the first thing to do is write a proposal. Number 3.
Thank you so much. My name is Kayode Ogunbomi. I'm a journalist. Thank you, Mr. Ife Adebayo, for your presentation. And I'm also happy that you mentioned the role that Nollywood played in getting people to support the American military. But something you missed or you left out is that the Pentagon has a very long history of working with Nollywood in production of movies. They put a lot of money into filmmaking. And I would like to see how you can get the Ministry of Defense, for instance, to work with our filmmakers. Give them money, give them support, give them access. The Pentagon provides planes, it provides aircraft, it provides all kinds of props for filmmakers in the US. Can the same thing happen in Nigeria? Thank you very much.
No be what you get, you go give. So that's number 3. One final one. Okay.
All protocol duly observed. Thank you so much for your keynote address. We have had investment like this coming up. This is not the first time. I'm happy you are calling Bank of Industry. I'm a post-production supervisor. That's the back end of the film process. Is there any availability in your program right now about investing into the film industry, whereby post-production is always put at edge? Because we find out that most of the challenges we have about our film is post-production are not well taken care of. Is there any fund basically for post-production?
Scared to pass this place because there's somebody who has a bakery, bread or yo. He might want to ask, do you have funding for bread too? I'll take this final one, then we come to you, sir.
Thank you. Kola Omotunde Young is my name. Let's just say I'm part of the audience. Society, this to the keynote speaker, society is defined by the thinkers of the society. And a lot of what we see in the UK, US, what we think we know, they are actually deliberate messages carved using the creative industry. Nigeria, we've spoken about MAMSA, we talk about this. Please, is there a fund? And if there is none, is somebody think about using our creatives to recreate in the way it should be? Thank you.
So let's go to Mr. Ife Adebayo. I know a lot of the things you heard are comments. So, over to you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. So, I think this is one of the problems when you're not a big man. If it was the governor that gave speech, we just walk out after. But now I have to be on the hot seat. So I think I'll start with Mr. Adebayo. I'm sorry, Madam Anwuli, it's because it's my namesake. So I'm a bit partial. So about your movie and how you can raise funding. So I'll be specific to what we are doing on the iDICE program, and then my colleague Tunde that is here will speak also about the Bank of Industry Creative Department. Like Mr. Bengadeka said, the first thing you have to do is you have to write a proposal. And I think the chairman's representative also spoke about it, that we must start to see creatives as industries and not just as talent. The tech sector has found a way to do this perfectly. What we are doing on the iDICE program is we have a lot of enterprise support programs that you can apply to. So if I can get your email, we'll add you to our mailing list. You see when we have things that are out. But if you always go to the iDICE website, you always have all of these announcements also, and also on BOI website, where you can be trained on how to actually start a business using your skill. Because one of the ways in which countries like America has grown is that they fund ideas, but they carry those ideas and mold them so that they are then fundable, because an idea alone is not fundable. You must build it to the point that it becomes fundable. So ensuring that you're prepared for when, for example, our creative fund is ready, or when Mr. Adeyinka maybe brings his $1 million to match us and starts his own fund to support creatives, then if you've been built and grown, right, then you can apply for all of those funds. And there are also a lot of other funding opportunities available. My colleague Tunde will speak to some of them, but it will be important that you're ready, because if you apply without being ready, then it will be difficult for you to get those funds.
Thank you, Ife. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just speak to the fact that the Bank of Industry has a dedicated digital and creative group that supports the creative industry. So if you have ideas or you need working capital for your script and all that, you can always please reach out to us. And I know that Mommy Jokel Silva was at the time one of our committee that where they review scripts and all that with Mr. Promise George. So and that still works. That is still one of the products that we have in the bank. So please just reach out if you need any financial support.
Then to Mr. Kayode and the Pentagon and the support. Oh yes, that's actually one of the key issues, which means everybody working together. And I think the Nigerian military has really, they've moved from where they were. At least I know of the movie On Eagle's Wings. Yes, the Air Force supported that with planes. In fact, the pilots who flew the planes were real Air Force pilots. So they provided the support, the uniforms, the guns. Only a few of the soldiers were actors. A lot of the soldiers were actually Air Force Special Forces. So you could see the movement was perfect, the movie was perfect, and it's the same in America. When you see movies like that and you see the soldiers are perfect, it's because most of them are actually real soldiers, and they just train a few of the actors who are the stars to join them. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to do more. Like I said, iDICE is not the solution to everything. It's a model that hopefully can then be built on. Hopefully someone is able to take some funds from iDICE and work with the military to be able to do 1 or 2 movies. That will be something I personally will be happy about. But definitely I agree with you very much, sir, Mr. Kayode, that's critical, and we're hopeful that these things will start to move. But also very important, for the first time, the government now has a ministry dedicated to the creative sector. And I think these are policies that I'm hopeful that the ministry will be able to start to engage directly and make it as a mandatory policy for these military institutions to have specific desks focused on the creative sector so that we can move things like this forward. Then, sir, the man that gave the question about these types of investments, I didn't get your name, sir. You didn't give us your name. And about post-production. So for the iDICE program, we're funding the full value chain, end to end. But it must be bankable, because it's not just government money this time. Because a lot of government programs like this, people just take the money and fritter it away, right? So this time, we're telling the investor, put your skin in the game. Put your money, go and raise additional money from serious people, so that you're going to look at everything that comes to you, irrespective of where they're coming from, and make sure that it's bankable before you fund it. And to the last question, no, not the last, I'm still coming back to Madam Anwuli, from Mr. Kola about society being defined by thinkers. I agree with you, and we're hopeful that through the iDICE program and through all the work that BOI is doing, we'll be able to fund creatives that will start to create this story. That's why I spoke, very, very candidly about my thoughts around this. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to get many creators, we'll be able to inspire them, and that people will be able to know that now there is funding, that you don't need to know anybody, your daddy does not need to be anybody. If you have the right product, you're going to get the funding that you need. Then finally to Madam Anwuli, about the resemblance of this to the tech fund requiring matching. So it's not the creator that is required to match, it's the investor. So if you have $1 million too, maybe you have 50,000 jokes also, and we match you $1 million. So you have to raise the $1 million to match us. That's what we are saying. So it is not the creator that is matching. So our tech fund manager, for example, we have given him 26. He has raised 64. The people he's investing in are not required to match. So the company is an investor in Paystack, is an investor in Flutterwave, is an investor in Piggyvest. So this is a company that already knows how to find the stars of the tech ecosystem. So we're looking for the people who know how to find the stars of the creative sector and tell them, if you were doing this before with 100 Naira, how can we now support you to do it with 200 Naira? So it's not the creators. And the fund is a 10-year fund, possible extension to 12 years. So it's a long-term fund, because one thing we realized in the design of the iDICE program is that there is no patient capital. So how do you get patient capital? Sits and waits and allows the creators to be able to create and to build. And the fact, the fund of funds, which is the one that invests in other funds, is a 15-year fund, extendable for additional 2 years to 17 years. So for the first time, an African government is saying, we're going to be patient. We'll put in money in our ecosystems and we'll be patient for it to do its work. I won't be fair if I don't tell you what to do. It's between the tech sector and the creative sector. The difference is that while it is easy to say to a tech startup, okay, you have an idea, you want to start OPay, So I'll give you $10 and I'll take 10% of your company. It's very difficult to come to mommy and say what she's built over 3-4 decades. You want to come and take 10% of it for $10. It's very difficult. But it's easier to say, you want to do this movie project that will take 3 years. I can take 10% of that movie project. We can screen all over the world, and then we can make that money. So one of the engagements, one of the things we're looking at in selecting the right as the right methodology that is looking at all of these complexities and understands the system, understands the play, and is also able to provide the right support the ecosystem needs.
Mr. Ayorinde.
Thank you. I just thought that because once we go on stage, we probably won't have the time to speak with you. But like practically everybody here, I'm also trying to understand how iDICE, works. Can you just tell us beyond what you have said today, so that people can learn and have references? Are there 1, 2, or 3 that have, passed through what you're doing and have actually benefited? What sort of projects are they, and how did they manage to get the sort of funding that you are giving? 2 or 3 projects that you can.
Okay, so the answer is yes, but so iDICE is still in very early implementation stages. We're funded by African Development Bank, French Development Agency, Islamic Development Bank. It's been a long bureaucratic journey. It's gone through 2 governments. So still very early stages. A lot of the agreements are just being signed this year. The tech fund an investment that I'm aware of. They just got funding, I think, in December. They just closed their first fund in December. It's a 5-year investment cycle. So we're just 6 months into a 5-year investment cycle. The fund of funds manager was signed last month, I think. Yes, last month. And so it's about to go raise funding. So all is still in the pipeline. But that's why we've taken our time to ensure that we get it right. No, so we have disbursed to only the tech fund manager at the moment. And then the debt funds, we opened the portal 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, yes, for the debt funds. So it's still very fresh. Thank you.
Thank you. Why I come out Abuja this morning, for goodness sake. Somebody, my friend KJV, wants to know if this is just for the creative. He said it already, that is for the whole gamut of the system. The only money they don't give is people who want to marry second wife. They don't give that money. Bread, if you do creative bread. Oh, that's creative too. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, can we have a round of applause for our keynoter? Now, in Yoruba language, there are this group of people called Abolo de Feloju. And what that simply means is those who come to your party and make sure it blows out of proportion. And that is where we're going next. We're going to panelists who would blow everything that has been said and add a little bit more. But before then, let me introduce the wife of my brother. I was MC at their wedding so many years ago. Mrs. Fumilayo Antonia Inyoda. A round of applause for her, please. And I met someone earlier who Olumide, I hope Olumide is not going to rent family members, because this person introduced to me is actually way finer than he is, Mr. Nathaniel Inyoda. He said, that's my uncle, that's my uncle. Can I have a round of applause for him? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we move on now, and we move to our first set of panelists. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you must have heard it said that what a man can do, a woman can do better, and what a woman cannot do cannot be done. The first The first person I'm inviting up is a distinguished publisher, editor, and champion of African storytelling with 2 decades of experience across publishing, media, development, and management consulting. Co-founder of Narrative Landscape Press, she has helped bring some of Africa's most compelling voices to readers across the world. She's also executive director of the Society for Book and Magazine Editors of Nigeria, and in 2022, she served as editor of the prestigious Kane Prize Anthology, a respected voice in publishing, culture, and creative economy. Please welcome Anwuli Ojogwu. A round of applause for her. You can make it louder, you can make it louder. Our next panelist is a distinguished strategist, policy advisor. He contributes to positioning Lagos as a leading investment destination and co-authored the Lagos State Industrial Policy 2025 to 2030. Please welcome Dr. Olamide Okulaja. A round of applause for Dr. Okulaja. He's worked with the World Bank Group, private sector, and development institutions. Please, another round of applause for him. You know, the beautiful thing about Nigeria is that Nigerians are everywhere changing how the world operates and runs. And I hope that one day we'll be able to harness all this and truly, truly make Nigeria great again. Our next panelist is a distinguished theater practitioner, filmmaker, cultural leader, and creative industry strategist whose work spans the dramatic arts, film, tourism, and cultural development. He's a graduate of the University of Port Harcourt with further training at the New York Film Academy, Oxford University, and the Universal Studios in Hollywood. He's built an impressive, very, very impressive career spanning management, comedy, theater, and always building cultural experiences. He created the CNN-recognized Seki dance drama, served as a judge on Nigeria's Got Talent. I was head of production for Africa Magic at the Mnet West Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this Sonta Lifetime Achievement Award recipient and fellow of theater arts, the CEO of the River State Tourism Development Agency, Yibo Koko. Seki. Family. It's looking hot, Abi. It's looking very hot, Abi. Okay. Should we just stop with them or we should move on? Okay. Let's move on. The next person is one of Africa's most influential voices in advertising, creativity, and brand innovation. As founder and CEO of one of Africa's most prolific agencies, he has built a multi-dollar African creative powerhouse with a presence across Nigeria, go back, South Africa, Zambia, Dubai. He took their jabs there. Congo, Brazzaville, Kenya, and London, taking African creativity to the global stage. He's a celebrated brand strategist, a storyteller, and entrepreneur par excellence. And I can go on and on about him, but one thing to note is that he's a bold thinker. He thinks candor at all times and is always in pursuit of excellence. Please welcome the one I call the father of Lagos, Steve Babaeko. Wow. You know, I think what Olumide is doing is very criminal. These are the people you use once every year in your at your summit. You know, just grab one of them and pray that the others are available for subsequent years. But if you knock all these people together into just one one panel. And not just one panel, there are other panelists coming later. Olumide, you should be investigated for embezzlement of people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, great conversations require great minds. And my next introduction is one of such great minds, an accomplished journalist, author, media consultant, and TV host. He brings decades of experience across media, governance, culture, and the creative industries. A former editor of The Punch, former commissioner of information strategy, and commissioner for tourism, arts, and culture of the heartbeat of Africa, Lagos. Is a respected moderator of high-level conversations and a familiar voice and face on what you people call Arise, but I call it Arishe. Ladies and gentlemen, he joins us as a moderator for this panel to give direction to what we'll be doing. Please welcome Mr. Steve Oluwaseyi Ayorinde. A round of applause for him, please. Elenio. I would need 2 additional microphones for this panel, and it's always hard to streamline panels, but I just want you to know that you have just 30 minutes. 30, and you can do well to make it 20.
C'est pas possible. All right, thank you so very much, Benga. Good afternoon, everyone. The chairman, the keynoter, and of course, the very distinguished panelists here. But before we move on, do I have the permission of the House, and particularly permission of Madam Anwuli, to slightly readjust the sitting arrangement?
Sure.
This gentleman to my right is my namesake. And if you don't mind, would you like to go to where Madam is so that Madam can come here? Madam, are we good?
Very well, thank you.
Doctor, Lagos State, are we okay? All right, thank you very much. We have only 30 minutes, but I know that the minds, the great minds that are here, will try and moderate their thoughts, even though they need to be very expressive. If you look at what we have listened to since morning, for many who have been following this industry, it will look like we've had these things, you know, over and over and over again. For contemporary history, I'm sure that Dr. Shaibu will remind us, from 1992 in Jaws, when people said, kill all the witches, you know, let the film industry grow, to Museum Center when the National Film and Video Censors Board consistently has held, you know, this sort of conversations. We know that we've been talking about problems. We've been talking about how can we get it right. And so for today, I think that we really shouldn't focus too much about the problems, even though we can highlight them, but to also look at the next chapter that the main title or topic for this summit is all about. Yes, what it says is, 1 second, please. Creativity, culture, and Nigeria's next chapter, which is the reason why we're here. But for our own panel, it is essentially about building tomorrow's creative economy today. How much of what Mr. Ife Adebayo has said regarding the huge funds that are available in iDICE will drive the topic building tomorrow's creative economy today. And I would like to start with Madam Anwuli, not just because you're a lady, but because I also think that you represent a sector of the creative economy that is very deep, thoughtful, and cerebral, but it's not loud as to the way that the government, if government is going to call subsectors of the industry, your subsector will not be the first to be called. Not because you are not important, but because you are not the loud, not in a negative sense, type of a subsector. And therefore, do you sometimes, as a sector, feel left out, feel neglected, which in my opinion also addresses part of the reason why you posed that question at Mr. Ife Adebayo. So start from the aspect of perceived neglect and then move it to what can be done in terms of the next chapter that this creative industry requires.
Thank you very much. That is such an insightful question. I can summarize neglect in one sentence. We are not included in the creative fund. That's sort of summarizes it. When the creative report mapping was done, publishing was not included. But I understand, we understand a lot why this is probably happening to us. And like he said, really we are not loud. Music, film, fashion, food, they get a lot of attention because they're very instant, they're in your faces, they're very experiential. So basically I understand why that would be visible and you wouldn't really see the impact of publishing. But publishing, like, the MC said, he got a book of 50 jokes and, and he's already thought about many ways to exploit that. It's the same way that each and every one of you is reading a book somewhere and you just don't realize the impact of it. But I think the problem with publishing, one of the problems that we have in publishing is, I'm just not a publisher. We have like two aspects of publishing. The problem is that the trade publishing, which I'm involved in, has been seen, the government sees publishing in general as an adjunct of education. So, when the government thinks of when they think of publishing, they're thinking textbooks, curriculum, and the rest of it. But the aspect of, that I am involved in, which is trade publishing, is very fundamental to the creative industry because that is where IP is really, really important. That is where you get stories, because publishing is really one of the foundational aspects of foundational industries of where other IPs are generated from film, TV, and you name it. That is where, trade publishing, which is what, where I'm operating. So we produce books that you read. You may have read a Chimamanda Adichie, which one of my authors, you may have, last year, one of you may have read, Mr. Otedola's book. That was, so we have these sort of invisible impacts, but we're not loud because of, because we've been attached to education and not separated to understand that the trade aspects of publishing is actually the core IP creative industry, that produces that other verticals of the creative industry actually, align with.
But for the literary and the publishing sector, yes, you can be aligned with education, but then it is creative economy. What are you going to do as a body, as an association, as a group, as a collective to rewrite the story, to change the narrative?
So we have been advocating very much in identifying and ensuring that trade publishing is established and recognized in its own rights. Like my company is involved in I don't know if anyone here has heard of Canex. Canex has the book factory vertical of the entire initiatives. Yeah. And my company was one of is the implementing partner. We designed the book factory and we are implementing. So the whole idea is to make people understand that trade publishing is very important. Trade publishing is a great source of IP. As a matter of fact, one of the things I've been advocating with filmmakers in Nigeria is to say, look, we have books. Come tell the stories that these books are being told. We don't care if it doesn't meet Hollywood. Who cares? But we have films. We have what do you call it? Where we go and watch films. Cinema, sorry. We have cinemas where I really believe that Nigerian stories would be, people would be interested. And if we break ground in Africa and people in Africa are happy to watch and to see a Nigerian book adapted into film, we're fine with that.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be Hollywood.
Very well said.
Yes.
Yibo, I'll come to you now. You play multiple roles. And from a state that is as important as Lagos State when it comes to matters of culture and creative economy, Rivers. I think it's barely a decade ago when your state hosted what served as the book capital of the world. And that was quite big. Professor Wole Soyinka, practically everybody was involved. How much of progress do you think Rivers State as a subnational has recorded, given that you're still playing a role, somehow, I hope I'm correct, in Rivers State, but then, so as a government person on the one hand, and then as the CEO of Seki Culture on the other hand, what has been the experience? How has Rivers State, as an important subnational, grown in the sort of discourse that we are talking about, next chapter for culture and creativity? And then if you can add this to it, part of what Mr. Ife Adebayo said was that when people in your sector collect money, which is why he is sitting on huge funds that they just don't want to dash out government money. It's investment. So he says that when people in your sector collect money, when it is strictly government money, they tend to fritter it away. Has that been your experience, given that Seki has traveled all over the world?
Sorry, I'm actually pussyfooting on whether to answer from the point of view as government, or as Seki culture, because it's a bit tricky for me to go delve into the government side.
You will say you have to get into the government side.
It's you know, it's a bit crazy knowing that you have Igala man here. He understands. You've been there before.
Igala man is Dr. Shaibu Hussaini, the DG of Census Board. No coded language, yeah.
Sorry, can you increase this for me? I'm feeling left out with it. Okay. Hello, too. Yeah, okay. Let me deal with culture from my point of view, as much as from our point of view, and also from the point of view of the book thing. You know, politics plays, you know, politics is like, it's a business. And we racketeer many in government, rather in politics. And politics is where the money is. It is money in politics. And culture and every other thing, which are the invisible essentials, are not seen as something worthy to put money into properly. So I'm writing something here just to get off to answering you. Just give me 1 minute. No vex for me, oh, sorry. You know, I try to get a little bit academic just to answer. I know we have 30 minutes. But let me leave that. What I'm trying to say is we have 774 local government areas in Nigeria. We have about 371 ethnic groups recognized, right? We have about 500 languages in Nigeria. Now, for me, culture is an economic toolkit, yeah? Why do I dance? Why do I show Seki? Seki just came back from, what's her name? Sharon Stone was on our case. Lionel Richie, they were all watching, 840 guests to see a dance from Nigeria. A dance from Rivers State.
Where was that?
In LA, the Los Angeles County Museum for Arts. $720 million gallery. They wanted a dance from Nigeria to do the opening, right? Now, what is the key component is that government, again, so let me say, we still do not understand that the creative economy is a sustainable economic toolkit. It is still the framework of feel good. Feel good in, you have a party, Shaibu before, national, come and dance, you go with a pack of rice. That is the value of art, right? But you see, with the local government areas and what we have as culture, right? You can imagine when you have festivals across board. First Bank is here, Zenith Bank is here. Those festivals engage, they're visible, and they convert. Now, when you have the structure, which we don't have, they have the structure and the people who are in the performing arts, who are in the creative sector, understand behind the scene of gathering ideas together in terms of the monetization processes. Then, I think Bros for Lagos State, he understands. That's why. And he has a government that supports. He knows a government that is willing to. But on the broader spectrum, we don't have that. So you have the individual artist groping in the dark, who is allergic to collaborations, and he wants to be the CEO of that particular company. And if we have to talk to Oga Ife, the thing is that the value understanding of the art as that structural thing to make money, they don't understand it. It still feels good. And they're not collaborating with people who would, in so many ways, give them that structure. So that the question she asked before, that, okay, it's not now. It's a 4-year. It's a 6-year. Is it within that same framework? Sorry that I have to take this. When I was head of production for African Magic, you ask yourself, is NTA not in existence? Is Nitel not in existence? So why do we have DSTV? Why do we have Nitel? MTN. Over 99% of the staff are Nigerians. Why is it not working? Because until we see the creative space as a money spinner, as something economically can grow, we go still they gather, they ask these questions. That's for me. Sorry.
All right, thank you. But you said that I like the reference to Lagos State about being a government that supports.
Yeah.
How will you rate Rivers State when it comes to support for creative economy?
I swear if you want me to talk straight, you go back. But see, the thing is this.
Talk straight, bro.
Okay, so you see, the thing is, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Calabar, and Enugu, they have things in common. Lagos was the capital of the Federal Republic. Port Harcourt, capital of Rivers State. Calabar, capital of Cross River State. Enugu, then, capital of Anambra State. Now, what is the difference again? Minus capital. Lagos gets shoreline. Port Harcourt gets shoreline. Calabar gets shoreline. Enugu had coal, but Oyibo people settled in all of these areas. Enugu for power. Now, the algorithm picks positively Lagos as an epicenter, as a metropolitan city, right? Port Harcourt, restiveness. Calabar, a little bit one kind. Enugu is still southeast. I'm just telling you, so the conversations that the algorithm picks does not favor south-south or southeast. It favors southwest. So Lagos is more popular than Nigeria. The only problem we have is that because of our anger, we don't market Nigeria the way it should be. But Lagos, sustainably, they constructively, they market waiting them get. So you ask yourself, that's the fact. So now the question is Port Harcourt doing same? Port Harcourt is always about politics. If no be minister, it will be same. You understand me? So that's, I'm telling you, these are the conversations. The algorithm picks those conversations. And as long as they pick those conversations, nothing else will, nobody wants to. This is where the money is. When you Google Port Harcourt, you don't see anything about art. Burna Boy is from Rivers State. You hear him? He's more like a Lagos person or a Nigerian, but never as Rivers State. So Lagos is, they say whatever is good. You know, sorry, I don't vex now. Vision is the art of seeing things invisible. And you're seeing people who have the vision to see, I think you're right, 2025 to 30. Like Sheneko do vision that time. Now, the problem is everybody in politics, sorry, I'm taking the time, deals more with 13%, with IGRO from the oil companies. Because that money is there constantly, and nobody else is asking the questions, the algorithm picks negative vibes from Port Harcourt. So Port Harcourt, while we are doing things, you don't get to hear, because when I'm good, my mother never hears it, but when I'm bad, she does. So what you hear regularly is what becomes the key component for you to judge, is it happening like Lagos? You understand me? Dirty December, sorry again. Dirty December is not anything dirty, but again, It's a calendarization of the activities of things happening in Lagos, isn't it? Babaeko will go talk that one. Now, but in Port Harcourt, let me tell you again, and Yinka, please listen here now. Now, the thing is, in Rivers State, all the local government areas, whether government wants it or not, there are festivals that if you juxtapose anywhere in the world, is one of the best experiences. And that's why during Festac 77, only in Rivers State and Kanu, they went for Doba, but they went to Rivers State to watch the Odom Masquerade. And that masquerade has been played twice since 77 and 92. That masquerade has never been played before. And that is one amazing thing that can happen that is not happening.
Okay, let me have my microphone back. Well said, but I'll come back to you. Please fish out what you are going to read to us, and from your phone, so that when I come back, all you have said when you say that algorithms and everything, algorithms pick what it is fed with. So who is feeding the algorithm with the right narrative for River State? I get the point that it has not been helpful that you have not had a CEO in the last 3.5 years. CEO of the state. You know what I mean. But I don't know. Anyway, Lagos will be feeling on top of the world now. But before I come to you, Doc, I'll go to Steve. You have been building for decades. And I like the fact that I saw you a few months ago behind the camera shooting something, because that's also your territory. This is not about how has it been building. You have built. Port Harcourt, you have to take things easy. You have been building. What is the next chapter, and what sort of lessons do you think that we're missing out on that you help the industry? Mr. Ife Adebayo, I'll keep referring to the things that he said. Mention the fact that we're not starting from zero, that we are starting from a giant who does not know its size. Yeah. You know what he's talking about. How can we get this giant to wake up and roar back to life?
Thank you very much. Maybe I'll need it. Thank you very much. Big shout out to Sir Almighty for putting this together, and the QED team. Please, a round of applause for them. Before I jump into this, I'd like to make just 2 quick rebuttal. Number 1, the anchor person, Sagbengade Inka the First, erroneously introduced me as the father of Lagos. This is an event supported by the Lagos State government. Actually, I feel slightly uncomfortable because somebody from the Lagos State government is seated just immediate to my right. And I just saw the chief press secretary of the governor himself walked in a couple of minutes. Exactly. When you want to kill a small dog, you give it a big name, like Lion Killer. I am a boy from Kabakogi State, whose surname happens to be Babaeko, and that's where he ends. I'm not the owner of Lagos. Thank you. And second rebuttal is that whilst I agree with the brilliant presentation of Chief Ife Adebayo, your presentation was excellent. There's also one area that I strongly disagree with you, in which you refer to one of my favorite persons as Mommy Joker Silva. Please don't ever do it again. She looks wonderful, she looks beautiful, she looks amazing and gorgeous, and she still remains one of my all-time greatest Nollywood icons. A round of applause for Miss Joker Silva, please. Now, what we've been building a lot. We've been building a lot, and I think I had this dream all this while, even though advertising has always been my mainstay. It's been just that thing that found me almost immediately after my NYC program. And I've not regretted ever since. But I studied drama at the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and I've always loved being behind the scene. I don't think I have one bone of acting in my body. So recently I was able to shoot a short story about the day, the first and perhaps the only time I saw my father cry. He was in the army, in the education corps, and we were posted to the, I think, 4th Battalion in Owerri at the time, just almost a couple of years after the Civil War, and the day, February 13, 1976, when it was announced on radio that General Murtala Mohammed had been assassinated in Lagos. And I saw the man who was my Voltron, my superhero, Superman, Iron Man rolled into one person, broke down and cried. 50 years after, that story never left my mind, it never left my head, and I decided to, I actually did write a story about it and posted it on LinkedIn, and it's amazing. So I thought, hey, there's some meat here for a short story, and I converted it into a short story. When I told some of my team that I would be directing, they actually laughed. But I was able to do the recce, do the cast selection, was able to go there. And so once it comes out, I'll let you guys know. But what some of the things that we need to do, there's so much happening within our sector. Talent is not the problem. We have it in super abundance here. This is perhaps one of the youngest countries in the world. Young people doing so much stuff. These days, I mean, if you stay tuned to your social media, you might not even remember that there's something called television, because people are so super talented and creative everywhere you go. So now it is about harnessing and putting all of the guardrails in place. Look at what the keynote speaker said about South Korea. Do you know in Nigeria today, there are Nigerians, young Nigerians, who speak Korean fluently, and they've never been to Korea before? How? K-movies, you see K-drama and all of those things. We are also in that space. You know the difference? The Korean government got involved, put all of the guardrails in place, put all of the investment in place. They had a long-term view to how to continue to put all of those things in the proper place to create export and create demand and monetize. We're still doing vibes and inshallah, which will not take us very far, I'm afraid. And one last thing before I just rest. If we know how much good the space is doing for us as a country, we cannot even afford to pay for it. If a Burna Boy sells, we did not qualify for the World Cup, let's start from there. But this year, Davido was on stage. Burna Boy was one of the opening, took part in the opening and the closing ceremony. If we wanted to pay for that as Nigeria, that's a lot of money to pay. But we have not woken up to the fact that we have to put all of those IP laws. We have IP laws, but how do we enforce them? We are not doing that.
Yeah, but Steve, before you drop the microphone,
Yeah.
before I come to Doctor, I get the point that, again, we're emphasizing the things that we have not done in terms of structure and financing. But then what about the successes that we have recorded in terms of what you call vibes and inshallah?
Okay.
I mean, in terms of the soft power that the creative economy has given to this country.
Absolutely. You see, like I keep saying, no matter how you skin this topic, you're still going to go back to a head-to-head comparison between Nigeria and South Korea. Okay? And I'll tell you why. Let's just rewind our memory to like the 50s and the 60s. We had this magic crop in Nigeria called the cocoa. Cocoa. We grew it a lot. So many people trained their children, so many fathers and mothers trained their children through the university with cocoa. And just to emphasize the importance of this plant, the edifice, Cocoa House, is still standing tall in Ibadan today. Did we get something out of it? Yes, we did. But what were we doing? We were exporting cocoa raw.
Celebrity, let me use that word for lack of, of visibility because of foreign infrastructure. Afrobeats, if you know, I mean, if anybody here would agree with me, Burna Boy has an agreement with Def Jam. Many of them have agreements with distribution companies, other labels that are based overseas.
It's the only way to go global.
But that's where they get their advances. That's where they get their 1 million advance, 550,000 advance.
Right.
It is more profitable to tour overseas
absolutely.
than to tour in Nigeria.
Fantastic. All right, great. All right, so we come to Dr. Okulaja, and for the purposes of today, Mr. Lagos.
talk to us about what your state, our state, has gotten right and needs to do more in terms of competing. And you know, we're not competing with just Cairo or Joburg. We're competing with Rio, we're competing with Mumbai, we're competing with, as they have said, Korea. What's the capital of Korea, sir? Seoul, absolutely, with London, with New York. In terms of infrastructure that everybody has highlighted here that is lacking, what will Lagos bring to the table? You know the investors that you are talking to. Lagos Arena is almost ready. It's private funding. What is the direction that Lagos has now taken to get things a lot better for the next chapter?
Thank you very much for that question. But first of all, I'd like to say that it is indeed a pleasure and a humbling experience to be in the midst of such creatives. I have met a lot of the people that I've looked up to growing up in this room. I had the opportunity to sit beside Sisi Joke Silva.
Yes, that's one I
and
how many titles are you going to give as Joke today?
Yes. And when I was given, when a call came out to me to join this panel, I was wondering, what am I going to say to creatives? In fact, my brother that just walked in, Mr. Boyega Kosile, would have been better positioned to sit here to tell you all the fantastic things that Lagos is doing. But I will do my very best to talk from the perspective of the Ministry of Commerce, Cooperative Trade and Investment, of which I sit as a technical advisor. I'm not too sure a lot of people attended or knew about the Invest in Lagos Summit that happened recently. And one of the most compelling and poignant moments of that event was at the very beginning, it opened up with the creatives. I don't know if anybody saw that. And it was a fantastic rendition that was directed by my sister at Terra Culture. And one of the things that occurred to us at that point was that the first thing that Lagos sold to the Commonwealth, who had partnered with Lagos State to host that event, was our creatives. It was the first conversation we had. It was the first opening that they had to say, this is what Lagos stands for, and this is what we have in Lagos. And in that room stood several investors from across the world. We had over 49 representatives that came across the world. And of course, we had different representatives from the AFTA to the federal government, and the event, the keynote address was given by His Excellency Vice President Kashim Shettima. But beyond funds, to match with the Bank of Industry so that we can bring down the funding to about 9%. So it's actually a loan. But we also understand that a lot of times it's not just about the loan, it's also about the skill for these people to scale. So we attached anybody that wanted to access or that wants to access that loan with an accelerator program that actually trains them on what they need to do when they access this loan or what they should use it for. So a lot of people have, like I was saying, they asked him to write a proposal, but he's a creative, for crying out loud. I mean, when you start telling him to write a business plan, he's thinking about how to write the lyrics of his songs and how to do all of this. He does not really understand what it takes to write a business plan. And like my brother also said, the moment you come to me with a proposal that doesn't work, you know, you get refused. And once you get refused, you get depressed. Once you get depressed, you're not able to write again. So again, we're trying to see how we can create an academy that allows people to actually support people that can build up their businesses whilst they're accessing these loans. And so,
I want to ask you a question.
And so quite a lot of things that Lagos is trying to do, because we definitely really understand the potential of the creative industry. But beyond that, I also want to charge everyone in the room, and I will give and I will tell a story around how that worked for me, in the sense that we really have to be pragmatic about our situation. Sometimes it's not just about the amount of money you can access. It's about what can you do with the money that you want to access.
All right. Madam Anwuli would like to ask you a
So I just want to ask, when you say skill, do you mean skill in terms of people or skill in terms of their projects?
In both. When I talk about skill, I talk about the opportunity for people to actually understand the concept of growth, understand the concept of little beginnings, and not wanting to start from the top in terms of, oh yes, I've never directed a movie, but I want $1 million to be able to direct my first movie. Do you want to start with 10 million naira, right? And see what you can do, leverage on artificial intelligence, leverage on technology. I mean, when you talk about AI at this point in time, I'm not even sure a lot of people understand the power of AI. When you look at things like applications like C-Dance, applications like even Claude, $20 or £20 a month, right? And what you can actually do with that. It's a beginning, it's a starting point, and then you can grow towards that and really understand that the main thing is not just for you to sit down at that point and access that concessionary funding, but to create a room for somebody else to actually have the same opportunities like you've had.
Just one last word, please. Yeah. I just want to appeal to all the investors to please don't look at the creative industry the way that you would see an investor or an enterprise, because they are two separate things.
Absolutely.
You can't use the same metrics and benchmarks to invest in a creative industry. When you talk about, oh, you have to get money back, you have to get your ROI, I agree. But still, there is a balance of, the grant system and investing in creative businesses that make them flourish. Yeah. Because you can't treat them as an SME. An SME, you're expecting that you invest and you get your returns. The creative industry, and I really think that a lot of investment should be done. That's my first. But my second point is I'm not anti-AI, but I also say that we have to be very careful upon which all the AI is training on. It's other people's work that we're all getting the benefits to create what we're creating. Yeah. But AI, it's fine. It's good for productivity. It's good as an adjunct service. But AI, but in the creative arts, it's and we should always emphasize on human contributions.
Fantastic.
All the time.
Fantastic. I mean, I can't agree anymore with you. And I do hope that, I see Charles Novet somewhere there, I do hope that, a good chunk of the industry won't be thinking or won't be missing the Jonathan administration because of the volume of support, funding, free, but not frivolous, that he granted. And so, because I promised Yibo that I was going to return to you, are we saying that the next chapter for the creative industry will run strictly on loans and rather than the sort of balanced support that Anwuli mentioned?
Benga, stop coughing. See, Benga, this is the way they do it, they're serious. And I know say you be moderator, yeah, I know. But you see, now the problem where we get to, because Olamide is doing this. See how Lagos State government, they do them. The rest, then they do like this. Now, that's a big question. The rest, they do like this. So to answer you, I said something, culture as a climate positive accelerator for ESG impact programs. We have LNG here. So I know where I'm coming from when I use culture as the basic line for us to grow wealth, especially from the South region where I come from. Now, the thing is, she has made it very clear. The creative intellectual property is not that tangible collateral when they won't do. And those in power don't understand 4 years, 5 years, now, then start. So there must be the structure. Policymakers like yourself, like himself, we understand how the creative things and then balance it so that if you juxtapose it together, you see the value chain from the performative, you see the value chain from how the impact will come to grow wealth. If that is not there, the creative will become the script writer, will become the financial person, will become all of these things. So for me, I'm going into culture. I know why I'm using culture as an excuse base, because across Nigeria, from the southeast to southwest to south whatever, Our festivals, you can imagine if you monetize our festivals beyond just dancing in the market square. And that's why I'm using ESG. Because with ESGs, right, with the oil costs around the areas, when you go that as an impact program with them, you understand how you can balance that together, because revenue-based financing is a partnership that you do that doesn't require you to pay back, but is to show working with what you're doing and how it impacts on them. So for me, I will always say the key thing is let those who know how to discuss money based on what you know artistically join hands with them so that they can push whatever it is you have for people who want to give you money. That's all I was saying.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Gbenga, I crave your indulgence not to ask the last two questions, but to throw it to the crowd, because we are always accused of, seizing the microphones.
Take it. This reverse Shebi they give you joke to learn.
You do for me, I do for you. Okay, so direct me, Steve.
We do three, we take from there.
You said two.
Did I say two?
Yes.
I wanted to say two or three.
Okay. So, no, don't say here. Just point to the person so that you'll be the one causing the trouble. So, Mr. Monday 1.
That Lagos, or Lagos will come to you last. Did somebody mention
Edilawani 2. Can we have a lady, please? Yes, please. Any lady?
Before Lagos.
Lagos can be a lady. Okay, 3, number 3. Okay, so we start with, but the creative industry, you want to collect money without paying back.
Oshu is in the news, so Oshu must talk too.
Good morning, everyone. It's afternoon already. Sorry. I have two fundamental issues because I would draw from this analogy that says the man that is hungry is more interested in food security before you talk about a balanced diet. No, because very fundamental. So you don't. The conversation is we're jumping away from security to a balanced diet, and the lady aptly put that we are using templates that are not actually relatable to our experience. For those in the creative industry, I think it's imperative that we should deal first with how do we convert that to a sustainable economic platform. And the first thing you do for any art anywhere in the world that has been sustainable is patronage. Patronage in terms of grants, patronage in terms of sustainable engagements. Not when you call people, you did invest Lagos. You gave somebody a brief for that very day. So what plans do you have for that particular structure to remain relevant for the rest of the year? So we're looking at different engagements. As Yibo said, 774 local governments. Have we cascaded this same kind of opportunities down? And so when we need to create platforms, you create platforms that are relatable. These huge funds that we're talking about, they're everywhere for the creative industry, but they are not patient funds. None of them are found as any patient fund, including the one the young man is talking about now. The template, the proposal writing alone is tedious.
iDICE says what they are providing.
No, forget. When we get there, we'll cross that bridge. And no provision for extraneous factors that will affect failed businesses from that. Because for this industry, you should expect an expectancy of failure to be approximately 64% to 65% at the start. Because a lot of people will jump into the fray. And that's why grants is the first option. When you start with grants, what you're doing, you're moving a lot of people off the labor market and they become taxable. So government actually starts to build on that revenue from the working class, not from the business. But the model you guys build, you expect that guy to come in and build certain parameters that it won't work. So the template from the World Bank, from the UK and the rest is not going to work because you must take that into consideration.
Short one.
Finally,
Yes.
the success of any government works with the civil service and the policy making. We have all the policies on arts, culture in Nigeria, including my brother who is busy censoring movies. And the question we ask is, what policy do we have in place that will protect this industry today? All policies I've seen have levels of vulnerabilities for our entire arts and cultures industry. And that is why a Burna Boy will feel comfortable to take his IP and register in the UK or in the US, rather than register it with a patent office in Nigeria.
Dr. Monday,
Thank you.
You don't do. PhDs, take it. Number 2. Semi, yeah, Semi Okinawa.
Ha.
Oshun.
Mukini wajo awalokan. Well, thank you. We're talking creativity here, and I'm happy that Lagos State Government is a major contributor to this. But there's a growing problem in Lagos State, and I hope the representatives of Lagos State Government who are here will take this message to Mr. Governor. You can't be promoting creativity, spending money, and at the same time, a huge part of Lagos State is unsafe for the same operatives of that creative industry. Today, for people in the creative industry to shoot their movies, scenes on the streets of Lagos has become a problem. The entire Lekki, Aja, Epe Express corridor is almost a no-go area. Even you as an ordinary person, you'll be, if you are lucky to have maybe 1 or 2 cars, you'll be looking at which one of your cars has more dents or less attractive for you to go to all those corridors. And why? Because there's this growing tendency. And see, we keep on looking at it. DJ Neptune last week tweeted something. Quite a number of celebrities, artists, actors, and all that, they have been victims of this particular problem. Now, we should ask ourselves, what is the government doing? And on the part of actors, because I don't think we should actually leave this to the government alone. What from the creative industry operatives and CEOs on their own are also planning to do to keep this, to its end. Thank you.
Well said, well said. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oshuadarao. Number 3, Afrima, Africa.
Thank you. For me, I just want to pitch my tent with Monday. Fantastic contribution. Thank you so much. We'll continue to be here. We'll come here every year or go to other conferences like this every year without any meaningful action or impact. If you don't understand certain fundamental. Whether it is the music industry in Nigeria or the Nollywood, these sectors were created by individual efforts of our people. And government is trying to do cash up. And the challenge is government find it difficult to even do a better catch up. And that's the major challenge here. I think we must understand the face of the growth of this so-called, pardon me, our creative industry. We are not there yet for transactional engagement or commercial engagement with the banks. At this stage, it's about developmental. Government needs to come in and support these individual efforts that has taken us thus far. And I like the keynote speaker said, this is a giant that does not know its size. We are big, we are huge. Talent is not in short supply, but we still need that government support to make this work. Let me tell you a case in point. As of today, there's no venue in Nigeria, either for performance, either for musical performance or for major theatrical performance. There's no venue. I think we were in Morocco together, the moderator. There was a time, we were around, and there were, there were studios built in each county or local government. Purpose-built studios. radio, TV, music, film for young people to go in there, take advantage of it, and go back to their various homes, free of charge. And that was what, a key analogy to that is football. Somebody said at the last AFCON that it's unfortunate in Nigeria, the same money that was given to Morocco was the same money given to Morocco by FIFA. Morocco used their own to build stadiums across counties, and that is what has impacted development of football. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that regardless of this individual efforts, growth, because if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 musical artists, that's it. There's no broad impact among the people. So what I'm trying to say is that it has to be developmental, and government needs to play its role critically. And thank you to Lagos State government for playing its role. Thank you so much for doing this and not abandoning the young people.
Thank you.
Engineer, the lady. Engineer, please, when you start hearing some things off your mic, off the mic. Mr. Mike Dada, when we were in South Africa together.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sharon Emiana. I'm a lawyer and a business development associate in the music industry, basically. And while the conversation was going on the stage, we just had a bit of discourse here that I just wanted to share with the public. And it was basically about what Ms. Anwuli said about the utter infusion of AI in both the music and the creative industry, basically. And we also talked about how artists are taking their catalog and their publishing, all-encompassing abroad. It's basically not, you're not giving these artists or these creatives much choices here to make. And like the other speakers have mentioned, that the funds being provided are not really patient. And as of today, there is no policy, rule, or regulation set in place that is governing AI-generated music here in Nigeria or any form of AI work. Maybe there are other existing laws that can be applied whatsoever. But when these type of laws are not even made as of now, or are we still waiting for the foreigners to bring their own laws to be imputed before we as Nigerians be the first to include these laws that can eventually protect our own artists and our own creatives in terms of our works being, copyrighted, in terms of our works being taken from us, in quotes, AI. Because AI is surfing the internet, basically, to give us responses to what we're being asked of, right? So when they are giving us these responses, it's not giving us the autonomy to use our own mind and our own ideas to deliver what we want to give. It is restricting you to another person's idea. You're not even being able to articulate. I started a series on Instagram where I was teaching how to use new words and bigger words in terms of talking. And I realized that most people don't even know how to use bigger words because we are so engulfed in AI, and we're so engulfed in, what I'm seeing, what I'm taking. Over-consumeration is really a problem here in Nigeria. And back to the conversation of the artist, you can't give this majority of the artists maybe $1 million plus to for their catalogs or their publishing, reaching them to take their catalogs to maybe like Warner Brothers, Sony Music, Empire. So basically, I think we need to do more for the creative industry. Hold on a bit. We need to do more for the creative industry because they're taking the youth out of Nigeria. That's why we're jabbering. So give us more to hold on to. Thank you, everyone. My name is Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. For
what you're saying in short is that AI is taking our jobs. AI has to go back.
Okay, so lastly, Lagos State, Mr. Koshile, Special Advisor to Mr. Governor.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm actually speaking as Boyega Koshile, not as Lagos State.
We don't know about that. You are Mr. Lagos here.
I came to honor my dear friend and colleague, Olamide Okulaja. Okay, but be that as it may, I cannot be here and hear some things that, maybe some misunderstandings about the state, and I will not say one or two things. Yeah, my colleague here has done some justice. Now, the question that I've always asked, by the way, just like Steve Babaeko, I happened to go to school and study drama. And I remember during my master's degree class, I used to have a series that professor back then, you know, the an art for life. It was a serious, and the woman didn't like me in the class. Because for me, why would I go to school and, you know, graduate as a thespian, and you tell me that I cannot commercialize theater? That theater should just be for education of the people. And I hated it right from my undergraduate days. Now, so the question now is this. It's the same mindset, and a lot of people might disagree with me. It's the same mindset that I met and I graduated, you know, seeing some of our seniors with, and a lot of the creatives are still running with that mindset till today. And that's why they will not, you know, put business, translate business into the arts, into the creative sector. So what my colleague doctor said is just for us to develop the habit or another mindset of, you know, bringing business into creative world, right? Recently, a Nigerian creative won a grant in the UK. He went through, no, it's not been a kind. So he won a grant in the UK, some thousand pounds. I know what that guy went through in terms of the proposals, the defense, and everything before he could be given that grant by the British government. But turn the table around, go state government, and I tell my creative friend, you know, to come and defend, to write. Tell me that, oh no, I'm a creative person, I don't have time for that, and you expect me to give you the grant. So it doesn't work. And by way of information, the Lagos State government actually gives grants. We started with 400 million naira in 2023. We upped it in 2024. I don't know the figure in 2025, in our billion in 2024. Now, I don't know the exact figure right now. I was trying to confirm from the commissioner, but she's not responded yet while we're talking. You know, I wanted to give her and who are these grants given? You know, some of the people will be here, I'm very sure, right? And apart from that, in terms lot in that area. So, you know, this is not a forum for that, but long and short of it is that, you know, artists, the creators should learn that they are also in business.
Okay.
It's very key. Thank you.
I thought you were going to say something about what Alhaji Okola said, but we'll bring that to the
the issue of security is very
On the issue of security, I know that government has arrested, as at yesterday, over 300 of those boys on the Lekki axis. You can check, please.
Okay, just a very quick one to your response.
Okay.
Sorry, I have this, you know. Okay.
Okay, if you're a young man, stop your hand. Young man, young men and women. This Ife's program is for young. We are old. So some of this money, even if we want it, we can't get it. Please, listen, young people. There are so many things that are scattered all over the place. Now, so many things. Please, take some time to find them. Take some time to find them. Somebody was talking about how there are Korean speakers around. Please, we want to hand over this thing to you. Take some, we will research. Some of us will spend time to just keep looking for things. Young people, look for these things. They are there, all over. Please.
Very much. Having said, we young people will listen and will do. Photographers.
Sorry, I just wanted to make one last comment.
No more comments,
No,
please. Let's take a picture.
No, yes. So I just want to point out that your contribution is true. Artists should know that should have aspects to them. No money, I do agree. But I would recommend that if these initiatives can also create maybe like business services to guide artists how to write proposals and the rest of them. It is not unusual for artists to have business managers. It's done all over the world. That's a lot of fashion designers, a lot of photographers, a lot of people who we hear today, Bobby Brown to Anne Lopovis, the great Vanity Fair photographer. They all have business managers. So I'm just saying that maybe in addition to the initiatives that we have, maybe business development, departments to be created for artists or for creatives who need this sort of services.
All right, thank you very much. Can I have a round of applause for the panelists and the moderator who refused to allow me end the panel? Mr. Olumide Yoda, can you please join us? Olumide, please join us. Keynoter, please join us. Chairman, please join us. I want to welcome CNN African Journalist of the Year, Mr. Shola Oshukeye, the mouthpiece of Lagos Boyega Koshile, Shewoloke Tui, Best of Nollywood Awards, my baby sister Kiekie, I see you, Adekunle Ayeni of the BHM Media Group, Charles Novia, gone till November, Mike Dada, Mr. Afrima, from JNIC, of course, Mr. Olumide Yoda, Azua Rinze, Omobala Yinka Oyedeji, Bread and Akara Oyo, Henry Alade, Mr. Bolaji Drojaye, Chancellor of the Exchequer Oyedele Okelowo. Thank you very much to my most cooperative panel. Very cooperative panel. Can I have a round of applause for them? Very cooperative. I was supposed to take an interlude, but I think we'll pause on the interlude and move quickly to the next. Mr. Steve Ayoride, thank you very much. The next, Mr. Boyega Koshile, thank you very much. The event is not over. Can I have a round of applause for everybody standing at this point in time and ask them to please sit? Please, a round of applause for everybody standing at this point. Mr. Ehi Brimo, the Foxy one, I greet you. Boyega Koshile, it's not a political event. Please, 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 please. Let's make ourselves comfortable. Thank you. We move to the second panel, and the theme for this second panel, the title, or what they'll be discussing is what creatives need from Nigeria. And I think this is the time for us to listen. What creatives need from Nigeria. Talking at this point is one of our panelists is someone I'd recognized earlier as someone who needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, co-founder of the Lufodo Group, president of Women in Film and TV Nigeria, and a proud recipient of the Member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR. Few names command the respect that she commands, and from today we've been told not to call her Auntie Joke, but call her, ladies and gentlemen, Sisi Joke. She's more than an actress. She's a custodian of culture, a mentor, and a powerful voice of the transformational power of art. Please welcome the irrepressible Ajoke Silva. A round of applause for her. Our next panelist is a true creative industry heavyweight. A talent manager, music executive, writer, filmmaker, and creative entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience shaping Nigeria's entertainment landscape. I said earlier that when you hear musicians sing Men Day, he's one of such men they are talking about. Founder of Now Music, co-founder of Hypertech Digital 960 Music Group, and founder of the Buckwide Media Network. He has worked across talents, worked with some of the best. I can mention names like Two-Face Idibia, Sonny Neji, and I can go on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the distinguished Efe Omorogbe. Round of applause for him. Our next panelist is a leading voice at the intersection of technology, finance, and digital storytelling. With an audience of over 1.5 million followers, more than 110 million views, and over 750,000 YouTube subscribers, he has spent nearly a decade making complex conversations around technology, personal finance, and the Nigerian economy accessible to a global audience. A YouTube Black Voice Class of 2022 honoree, Tech Creator of the Year, and Tech Influencer of the Year, he has become one of Africa's most influential digital creators. Ladies and gentlemen, Fisayo Fosudo. A round of applause for him, please. Oluwabukumi Adeaga Ilori, widely known as Kiekie, is a renowned event and TV host, content creator, brand influencer, actor, and media personality who is captivating audiences worldwide with her exceptional talent. A graduate of the London College of Fashion and the London School of Business and Finance. Since 2015, she has redefined entertainment with her electrifying performances, viral skits, and I've told her if dance would land anybody in jail, she will go to jail for life. She's a force in the entertainment industry, creator of the Kiekie TV and founder of Akos Collection. She has earned accolades including Online and Digital Creator of the Year at the 2023 AMVCA, YouTube Creator of the Year, and was named Top Content Creator by Forbes Africa in 2024. In 2025, our cinema movie Ginger was one of the highest grossing movies, and she won Paul's Instagram Influencer of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, Kiekie. If there's music, play, she will dance, I swear. Kiekie, mark by me now. Now, to help me, and I hope she will, they have just 15 minutes. Okay, I just tested the waters. They have just 30 minutes. She's an award-winning media personality, broadcaster, trainer, conference facilitator, storyteller, with an impressive footprint across radio, TV, print, and digital media. A powerful voice, an exceptional communicator, and a passionate advocate for purposeful storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of our moderators, in fact, our second moderator, the one and only Anikade Funke Treasure Akintoye. Round of applause for her. Please don't stop clapping. Now, stop clapping. You've taken 3 minutes out of their time with your clap. Thank you very much. Don't forget, the topic is what creatives need from Nigeria, apart from pirating their works.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be moderating this session. As you can see, I'm in fantastic company. Can you please put your hands together for the panelists? If we look at the years they put it into creative work, we should be looking at almost a century of creative work sitting right across you. Another round of applause for them. I am going to start with the informal sector because that's where a very large part of our creative industry operate from. And we know from what we experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic that the informal sector was what saved Nigeria at that time. And so by that I mean we're talking about tailors working from a small shop, the fashion designer, the bead maker, you know, the leather worker, the photographer, the makeup artist, the craftswoman, the textile maker. And I think I should declare my own interest here because I'm also an Adire fabric maker. I'm sporting my own design as I sit in front of you. You can make the applause more robust. All right, so yeah, we're creating, and I like the fact that we've touched on exclusion a bit in the course of these conversations this morning. Creative people are preserving culture, they're employing people, they're building businesses, and they're creating products that tell the distinct Nigerian story. So this question of exclusion, I'm hoping that we'll be able to confront that during this panel session. Who exactly do we consider a creative? And when we talk about developing Nigeria's creative economy, who are we leaving out? Because Nigeria has no shortage of creative people. They are everywhere. The question is whether the structures we're building across the creative economy are reaching them. Earlier this morning, the chairman talked about infrastructure, talked about institutions, and quite a string of things that we should be looking at. But the question this panel is going to be considering is, given the fact that creatives have done so much for Nigeria, we're asking a different question. What should Nigeria expect from creatives, or rather, what should creatives expect from Nigeria? That's it. So 4 people sitting with me. I'm going to be asking each of you to make your contributions about the theme of this panel first, and then I'll zoom in on your particular journeys, and then what those journeys have taught you about the creative industry and the intervention critically needed by the government, and then we'll come to you, our audience. So I'm going to start with Auntie Joke Silva. Just yesterday, I watched one of the productions you took part in 33 years ago. That's where you played Amuda in Owurolawa. Can we please appreciate her? 33 years ago. And yes. And you know, I watched and I said, look at this mama. She has traversed, you know, grew from the very beginning, moved on to Lufodo Productions, and now she's organizing the film and TV industry for women. And that's such a journey. So I'm going to be asking you, Auntie, when you hear the theme, what creative expect from Nigeria, what comes to your mind after more than 4 decades in the creative industry?
Okay. Hello. Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
It can be better, though.
It can be better, though. Can you? Thank you. Hello? Yes, okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Olumide. The opportunity to be able to tell Nigeria what creatives need from Nigeria. I don't take it for granted. Thank you. You know, I was sitting over there and I heard what Lagos State has put together for the creatives. I heard what our keynote speaker said. And honestly, we are so grateful. There's so much that Lagos State government has done, built theaters and all. But somebody mentioned something very critical, and I think it needs a bit more explanation. Why are creatives asking for a grant? Now, the journey, the creative journey, starts from a point where it is not making any money. Now, by the time it makes money, it's probably going to take several months. So how does the creative sustain until that time? One of the areas where grant is needed is in the writing stage, in the development of the idea. Now, if we look at a film from anywhere, whether it's from Senegal or whether it's from South Africa, they get a grant to write the script. And the grant starts from something like $100,000. Yes, that is a grant for development. Because what does development entail? Development entails you're writing out the idea, somebody reading it, and then critiquing it, and then the writer's room looks at it, and you go back again and again and again. The dramaturg looks at it, looks at whether it, and all the, sometimes we say that our scripts are badly researched because no research has been done. They cannot afford to do the research. Dramaturgs, that's the job of the dramaturg, to do the research on your behalf. You have to pay that dramaturg. So if you want really developed work, the beginning is the script writing, and the script writing must be done with a grant. It cannot be done with a loan, no matter how patient. That's number one. I have been really blessed to be running the most amazing space in Nigeria, the Global Memorial Hall, that's been around since 1887. And it's been around since 1880. Hello? It's been around since 1887. And so it's a heritage site. It is a site where so many of our politicians got their start, so many of our cultural icons got their start, people like Ogunde, Duroladipo, all of that. That's where they got. The first film that was ever shown in Nigeria in 1903 was shown at the Glover Memorial Hall. So I feel so privileged to be managing, myself and my team, to be managing that iconic building. What do I need from Nigeria? What do I need specifically from Lagos State? A clean environment, I beg. That place, that environment is so filthy, it is not funny. We need that place cleared up. We have one of the most iconic squares in Tinubu Square. Tinubu Square hosts the statue of Madam Efuroye Tinubu. You have a young boy, a statue of a young boy reading a book. You have these beautiful statues of birds flying. Nobody can see it because all around it are all these what is it, posters or banners and filth. It's impossible. Forget the area boys, I'll get there. You know, it is so surrounded by so much filth. That's number two. And then you have all these sellers. There's a market, there's Okeari, there's Balogo, there's all those places for the market people to be. They are all from, what do they call it, UAC. From UAC right down to the central bank. These people are there, over 300.
Is to establish viability. Everything we've done, from plantation boys remedies to REMA, is just to establish viability. We haven't scratched the surface. So this is what we need is to, first and foremost, I sympathize with
Yeah. Your level of frustration is probably just probably about 17-18% of mine, but it's okay. You'll be fine. So the thing is this, right? So the way you feel about seemingly simple but practically impossible to resolve, right? That is how, for example, in my space, we've dealt with simple, clear-cut situations that have defied solutions 2-3 decades going on a weekly basis. And what are those things? Let me break it down. Let me blow your minds. One of my favorite analogy. iDICE, fantastic plan, fantastic program, fantastic project, great possibilities. But all that funding, all the supports, everything from top to bottom depends on a viable pipeline, right, to turn investment to revenue and capture this revenue properly and distribute it, right? Now, if you do that in the music space, what you would find is this. For an investment in music to yield reasonable returns, those works have to be popular outside of Nigeria. For you to be able to monetize reasonably to cover your loan cost and your interest, whether the interest is 9%, even 2%, no matter how patient the capital is. Now, your primary market, where there is cultural connection, where there's understanding, where you even have a ready fan base, right, does not provide the systems to earn optimum returns on your investment. So this is a practical example. One of the first and most important revenue stream for music is the mechanicals, right? Streaming, the sale of the music in itself, from the label end of things, right? Of course, generally it's performances, right? Live performances is the biggest part, right? Then you have the streaming revenue. Then you have, next to streaming, you have publishing, which means when your music is deployed within commercial spaces, right? They're supposed to obtain a license to use the works, deploy the works commercially, and this money is be collected by your CMO systems and distributed to the right holders.
So what is government?
Let me break your heart. 6 broadcast stations, you can quote me anywhere, 6 broadcast stations servicing 2 million residents in Botswana. Everybody say Botswana. I haven't said France. I've not said South Africa. I've not said Belgium, Denmark. I've not said the US. I'm not talking about the developed markets. Botswana, 2 million people, 6 broadcast stations for 3 straight years from 2024, 2025. Every single year over the last 3 years, they've declared more revenue from broadcast rights to right holders than 650 broadcast stations servicing 240 million people in Nigeria.
All right, let's pause there and come to Fisayo Fosudo. By the way, are you related to the big actor Fosudo? Is that your dad? Your uncle, okay. Yeah. So you're in tech. That's where you play. That's your playground. But let's come back to the informal sector. Okay, I'll put a leash on that and let you speak to the theme of this panel session. What do Nigerian creatives expect from the government?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, and it is a huge honor to be here. I've met I've seen so many like amazing people that I also look up to here. And I'll just say it from my own perspective. I would say I was very lucky to have a creative job. I've been creating content on the internet for the past 10 years, and I've been able to employ over like 20 people. And this is my job. Before now, I wouldn't be able to say that I'm a social media, what does a social media influencer mean? Before 2005, nobody could say that that was a job. So this is a relatively new thing. And again, I'll say I was very lucky because as at the time I started, people were not really paying attention to quality in this space. And something I would say helped was investment. One thing I did, and many creatives do, is they are the first backers of their work. So they would invest in themselves or in their work for almost no guaranteed return. It's a massive risk to say, I'm betting on myself to create this work or create this movie for maybe, I don't know what will happen. I might spend the budget, but what I would make might not even cover the thing I've spent. And that was what happened to me. I invested in 2017, everything I had to buy a camera, to start a YouTube channel. And for the next 6 months, I earned the whopping amount of exactly $0 for the next 6 months. Yeah, very amazing return on investment for almost $5,000 of everything I had. But the story is different today. I think 10 years later, I'm able to say all these amazing things. But something that really, really helped was something I would advise everybody who is here who's a creative or not is try your best to read books. It is such a simple thing to say, but if you read, you are cutting short the time it would have taken for you to make the same mistakes that somebody else had made and documented it. And this is why all these other economies are doing far better than your economy, because they took the time to document what they've done. They just took a little bit more time to say that these things that we're doing, while it's informal, while it's like nice and it's vibes, because creativity too is really, really vibes. Like it's entertaining, it can be educative, but it is from here. It's from the heart, it's from the mind. It is just something you thought about and you thought it would be interesting or it would resonate to people. The fundamental truth of creativity is that people feel something. So when you create something, you are creating a feeling that people are going to have eventually. That is the fundamental thing. Whether it's even educative or entertaining, people are going to feel something. So how do you now document this thing into processes? This is the boring part of creativity, but this is the part that they are talking about that you need to fund. I'm currently in school now, and I'm studying media innovation. And the thing I've found to be very, very crucial is, number one, you need to document your work. But you also need to try your best to expand your mind to read. Because in this new age of AI, we are going to be dumber and dumber, and everybody's going to sound smarter. We're all going to sound the same, and we're also going to sound smarter, but we are not actually smarter because we never really took the time to take in information and understand it and think about it critically. AI is here now and it is fun, but if you are not spending the time to read or you're not spending time to develop your mind, nothing is going to come of it. So I would say the thing I was just going to say is make sure you are documenting the creativity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for him. All right, Kiekie. Super successful. We think you don't have any problem. But what is it you would still want the government to do for you?
I mean, let me just borrow the other mic. Hello. Yes, this works. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm super honored to be here. Thank you for that question. That I end all my skit with problem says that there's problem. And that says that I have a lot of problems, you know, that are relatable with other Nigerians. As a creative, I think there's a problem building right now, and that problem is social media itself. I have been working on social media for more than 15 years, so I have been a huge benefactor of social media. But I will say this, and since we have media here, hopefully it gets to a bigger audience. So, just like bankers, when they go to work, they only report to their, maybe their floor manager, MD, yada, yada, yada. But as creatives, we sort of report to the public. So they get to judge our work, scrutinize this, critique it, and that's beautiful because in criticism is, you know, where you find the form of cloud or get some numbers from it just so that you can earn from it. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to stay with you. I like your, it's in order if you want to clap for her. I like your Taylor series.
It is what it is.
Your Taylor series, particularly what you did to Bookie, right? And that's Gangan style thing that you did for her. But you know, there in that series, you're extraying the struggles of the itinerant tailor that we all are familiar with. You're extraying their struggles. You're talking straight to the informal sector that I started this conversation with. Is that a people problem or a government problem?
First off, let me mention that outfit that I made for Mommy Bookie Right in that video, in my opinion, is the best dress anyone has ever worn. I mean, do we not agree? Let me tell you something. After that video, the provost of Unilag contacted me.
For that same style?
Especially because of the cap. It's not but I mean, I understand if you don't understand, it's okay. It's not for everybody, it's not for everybody. But speaking of, I'm an experienced and practicing fashion designer. I've been in the industry for over 15 years. So as a result of that, I've had a lot of people tell me crazy ideas. Oh, this tailor did this to me and did that to me. And that just takes us to the answer. The government is not magic. They didn't come from nowhere. It is from the people in this room who are aspiring to be in the government, who eventually becomes the commissioners, the ministers, the governor, whatnot, whatnot. So we are a direct reflection of our government. I think we all know that by now. So when we project a particular concern, it is because that is who we are. What I'll only expect is that since the government is a direct interpretation of who we are, they already know what it is to be here. So when you get up there, it should only allow you a better understanding to solve the problem now that you have the means. So is it a people problem or a government problem? One is two snuggle. It's the same thing. Them and us, we are the same thing. So all of us should solve the problem together. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Kiekie. That's half-hearted. Can we make it more robust, please? Fisayo, you've been in the tech space. I know that when you want to get into the heart of what you do, then you say, without further ado, you know. So let's come to you. I think there's still exclusion in tech because you're speaking English. The informal sector who do the languages are not part of it because of the language barrier. By that, so I mean that it looks like you're excluding them massively. But coming to what you expect from the government, what is it? You've been in that space for quite a long time. What do you expect from the government?
I don't have any expectations, personally. I mean, I would say I don't have any. The only thing is, and I don't mean it in any way, it's something I wrote down here. We have repeatedly proven that we can back ourselves and then go global. The only thing is, if we have an enabling environment.
No, please go ahead.
Okay, the only thing is if we have an enabling environment, that is one thing. But what really is an enabling environment? It is infrastructure that makes sure that I'm not going to be the only one that gets to maybe capitalize on this space. Somebody else can do it. Or more people can join this space with the hopes that they can earn a living here.
Okay.
Because, again, as we've all established, there's a reason why there's funding for this space. And thanks to the government as well for partnering with the private sector to create funds like this. I really like the idea that was mentioned by the keynote speaker. And it's actually something I've been looking forward to as well. So we have something like this. I think maybe we need more of this, but also what we need is, I am a stickler for the education of people. If we can find a way to introduce it in curriculum, that while you are learning creativity or while you are having creative education, also learn the boring side, the number side, or the side that is, it seems like it is mundane, but you just have to know this aspect, even as you are doing your creativity. So the main thing I would just say is just the environment alongside the infrastructure. The enabling environment alongside infrastructure is what I would say.
Okay, let me make it even more alive. Recently we heard that one of our actresses lost a whole followership on YouTube because of problems with theme song done by somebody, and then she lost such a huge followership. You're in the digital space. Is this what government could have done for her? Is it about copyright law? Is it about, what's your take?
So this is more a licensing thing.
Okay.
I think maybe the song, I don't know if she used a song that was owned by somebody else, and maybe it's the person that took it down. I would say there are many, many platforms that you can license music from. So it is one thing I would say. I don't exactly know this particular situation, but the main thing I wouldn't say is like a government issue. I would say it is just a licensing thing. So one thing I would really, really hope for is if there's a democratized way that music publishers can allow people license their songs for their creativity and they can share revenue. I think that's something that is done. I'm an ambassador for a music licensing company as well. So it's called MusicBed, but it's not a Nigerian company. If there's something like this, that people who publish music can also allow creatives to license it for a very affordable amount. I only pay like $30 a month. Maybe it can be lesser. You can license the songs of these people and then share revenue with them maybe, or just license it for a fee and use it in your works. I think that's something that, I think it is more for an entrepreneur to think about than, I would say, public sector.
All right, one more thing. Why is it that it looks like it's more profitable to register your social media space outside Nigeria than within Nigeria? Here you make more money. For instance, if you domicile, say, your YouTube or your Instagram outside Nigeria, isn't that what government should be looking at as well?
So this is a fantastic question too. I am a YouTube, my main audience is on YouTube. We have 790,000 subscribers, and we've made a whole lot of money from there, and we've also paid taxes as well. So something I would say is, it is all about the audience. Mm-hmm. As a creative or as a creator, you are creating for an audience, and the audience kind of dictates, not necessarily that they dictate, but they kind of dictate the outcome of your creativity. They don't dictate what you've made, but they dictate the outcome. So maybe it's how you sell the creative work. But the audience in America, for instance, can afford to pay whatever it is for a product. That is one. The second thing is the marketers, the people who are advertising. All these platforms are fundamentally advertising platforms. Whether it is Spotify, whether it is YouTube, the way we make money on a YouTube, for instance, is for every 1,000 views, there's a certain amount. Let me give you an example. I made a video that got like 1 million views, almost 2 million views. For every view that came from America, for every 1,000 views that came from America, I earned $10. For every 1,000 views that came from Nigeria, I earned $1. Sometimes $2 at best. Maybe if it was in the other finance space, I earned $5. That's the best I can get. But I've gotten, for 1,000 views, I've gotten $25 sometimes. And imagine if you multiply that by millions of views. This is the reason why me with my 790,000 subscribers, I don't have a Lamborghini yet. But somebody else I've read has it. I'm just kidding. But this is how it is. The audience dictates it. The marketers dictate it. A Samsung US can spend $1 million on YouTube advertising. I don't think any Nigerian company is spending $1 million on YouTube advertising because they're not going to make that money back from these advertising efforts. So the country is not poor. I mean, maybe.
Kiekie, are you saying the country is poor?
But it is the audience. It is a mix of that. All this, Google is an advertising company as well. You Google something, you get an ad. That is how they make money. And it switches across the publishers and the audience and everybody. It's a complete value ecosystem. And it works out.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm coming to you, Efe. No, I'll come to you, Efe. And I want to bring in the experience that what we learned about Mobad and what we are presently seeing with what's unfolding with Peter of P Square. We're seeing, and Jude, of course. So that talks to the issue of structure in the music industry in Nigeria. You're an old horse in this matter. Why are we not getting it right? It's taking such a long time. I mean, you talked about plantation boys the other time. Look at where we are. We're still talking about structure. Is this a government thing or a we thing?
Everyone, the responsibility is spread evenly across all the key stakeholders. The government has, I established a basic premise by saying everything we've done to this point is just proof of concept. It's a proof of what's possible. Now, so instead of celebrating, this is the time to roll up our sleeves and get down to the dirty work of building the system in the way that it can function.
So how many heartbreaks are we going to experience before we get to
it's not a heartbreak thing. There are a lot of positives. There are a lot of positive things happening.
Okay.
And what we need to do is to frame it better, we need investment. But it's not investment in just talent, right? Our friends from the iDICE project, what I was going to say to them is that every time you have this kind of interventions from historically, the Bank of Industry, they're giving money out, to Nollywood people. They do all of that, but they do not get involved enough in the systems that ensure that even the process, that the investment is protected. What he's saying to you about YouTube earnings is a very simple problem of geo-mapping, of geo-economics, right? You'll be surprised to find out there's the same reason why you would get $300 from 1 million streams from the US and struggle to make $50 from the same streams from Nigeria. The same reason why a Netflix or Amazon would invest $23 million in a market, right? And find out that the numbers are not numbering on the back end. There are a lot of leakages. There are a lot of reasons why. So your subscription rate, for example, the average guy who's on Spotify in France, what he pays for is more. First of all, the percentage of people who are paying subscribers in those economies are way more than the number of people who are on the freemium advert, dependent model, right? So if you check, ask yourself, YouTube in Nigeria, how many people pay a monthly fee for YouTube? A huge percentage, I do not have the data, but I'm convinced that at least 80% of the people who are on YouTube in Nigeria, they're on freemium packages, advert supported, right? There's no way money's generated, because how does streaming work? Streaming works on revenue splits, right? You make a pool of money and you share amongst all the works, all the people whose content have been used, right? So 50 people sharing $1 million would definitely get more than 50 people sharing 300,000 naira, right? But to move beyond that, I think the key thing is this: we need a lot of investment. The people who are providing funding, should be involved in other ancillary conversations around protecting the funds.
Yeah,
right?
protecting the funds.
Protecting the pipelines for the
What
funds.
about the artists?
Because if you put money in something, and I cannot make the money back by scoring popular record hits in Nigeria. What it means that I want to pay back, right? I want to pay the loan or whatever, but I'm unable to effectively monetize to make enough money to pay you. So if you're investing in the talent, because all the conversations are about talent and content and talent and content, who's investing in the academies? Who's investing in the management of your question is about P Square, the P Square scenario.
Talents management,
yes.
how we do.
So this is how I summarize the P Square scenario. From where I stand as an outsider, there are two critical conversations: contracts and governance. I see everything P Square from 2015 or so till yesterday as a conversation around contracts and governance. A lot of my colleagues, people see the stuff from the level of gossip and sensationalism and emotions and whatever. But if we could do an entire masterclass on where are the pressure points, where did it go wrong for P Square, right? So when they started out, what were the terms of engagement? What were the definitions of the roles, right? People here talking about writing stories and pitching and writing proposals and chasing funds. It's not a bad thing to do, but where are the studios? If you fund the studios, if you fund the management companies, if you fund the labels would develop the talents. The studios will work with the writers to refine the stories. You don't need every single writer engaging a financial institution to get money. We're working in silos. 70,000 of us are doing what 3 solid, well-structured companies should do.
All right.
Right? So we need investment on time. Mm-hmm. We need investment in the creatives need investment. We need to learn. We need education. The government they're doing a lot of fantastic. The last 3-4 years, they're mapping we can't talk about it enough. They're doing a fantastic job, but ultimately, it's time to do the rough, dirty, unattractive, heavy lifting to get this thing to where it can be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Efe. All right, Auntie Joke, you have a microphone there. Right. You're into organizing women in film and television, so you have additional insight into running Lufodo and running the center in Lagos Island. What are the additional insights you've seen that tells us this is where government should be focusing on, apart from the environment that you talked about earlier?
Okay. One of the other things I'd like to mention, and this is something it's been going on for years, is that IP protection, international property protection. We've been discussing these things the time of Emeka, who set up, it's a mixture of IP protection and distribution. He set up an incredible distribution framework, and so many people got involved in it, and then the political will was just not there. The politicians, I will never forget, at the signing of the certificates, the main politician in charge of entertainment in the Senate was actually the one that blocked it, the framework. And, you know, now, why is intellectual property protection so important? It is important because, like you, I think it was you that mentioned it. We, our industry, whether it is music, whether it is film, we serve the entire African continent, which is about 1.5 billion people. We serve the black race outside of the continent, all right, which is so many more numbers added to. And where is all that money going? Leakages, piracy. So when people say that we are the most visible industry in the world, when you talk about Nollywood, you say that we're the most visible, we're the biggest in terms of visibility, in terms of output. I beg to disagree and say that even in terms of income, we probably are the biggest. But the money is not captured in the formal sector. So it is so key that our piracy laws that are there be enforced. If that is one thing that the government gets right for this industry, there's a lot we have been doing without government support. If that money can be captured, there's a lot that creatives will be doing by themselves. Do you understand? If the proper dues are gotten from the work that they produce.
Sure enough, I checked on the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution, and creatives, and the only thing, there were two things I saw, but the key thing there is the Copyright Law 2022. So yeah,
and then just very quickly, we have this agreement with Brazil. We have a film co-production agreement. It would be very nice to see it and read it. We still have not seen it. It would be very nice to see it.
All right, hold on. Let me come back to Kiekie, because we cannot be talking about the digital space and what's going on there without asking you to weigh in, because that's also your playground. So what's your own experience, and what do you think the government should be doing for us in that space as a creative?
Thank you very much. So for me, I would say that what I would love for the government to do will still be create, we need film villages. I think in a previous panel, they were talking about how you cannot shoot in some places in Lagos. Straight fact. There was this one time I shot at Obalende. It was a 1-minute video. I got this interesting idea. Go and stand on yellow buses. Let's see the great view of Obalende. So I shot and hey, Kiekie, number, hey, Yang, go someone else. I was feeling cool with myself. You know, I thought maybe it's love and light. So by the time I finished the video shoot, I said, let me be going home. That's how they blocked the garage. So we started to negotiate the exit plan. So we started for 1 million. I said, 1 million. That's on the high side. Then I told them, so they used my eyes to give me the bill. So after going back and forth, I begged them. I used my mommy to beg them, used my daddy to beg them. I ended up paying something around 700,000. Yes, for a 1-minute video. So when I post the video on social media, I put it in the caption, but it's all about being it that I don't share this video. What I'm saying is we need
make your money back.
And making the money back is relative, to be very honest. If not, I was afraid. I was scared on that day. I looked around me and I saw almost 200 people, and I was asking, what is going on? For Ileya, I shot this content where I went to Kara, somewhere after Beggar. I literally had to pull up with security. Like I say, today, That was how I shot that content. So now imagine if I have to pull up with a full squad of security just because anyone that saw that content, it was barely 2 minutes to be able to shoot a 2 minutes content. And at the end of the day, I still spent close to 500,000. Just that I spent that.
This money is to though.
Hello ma. I know that it's a chain. It's a chain of command. And they are in cabal. They are in department by department. We have finances department, we have road department, we have crowd department, we have the Ogogoro department. So now, but what that money did was to make me feel safe and to shoot in time. So I didn't have to waste time and all that. So what I would love for the government to do will be to help us create a saner environment to shoot. I was in Europe in 2023. I did an Europe tour, content creation Europe tour. It is as wild as different restaurants saying, you want to shoot? Do you want us to turn down the music? Is the music disturbing you? Like everybody is eager to do whatever makes whatever it is you want to do work. And they also acknowledge the power of social media. I think here, people still don't acknowledge the power of social media. And it's a thing where, I don't know, maybe because as Nigerians, there's kukere in our way. That's why they even sing kukere for us. You can't shoot at the lobby of an hotel before you go and capture someone that say they are in Aba, but they're in Lagos. So you can't shoot at the lobby of a hotel. Some people want you to shoot in front of their restaurant because the person has told somebody that they don't have money. They now want to go and capture them eating steak of 300,000. So I would just genuinely want the government to create a saner environment for us to work. Now,
I'd like for you to please give the panel a round of applause.
No.
They've been amazing. They've been wonderful.
Don't do that.
Okay, you know what I'll do?
Yeah.
So that I won't be accused of being Kara area boy. I'll give you 5 more minutes to round this off. Thank you.
So in conclusion, just like Mommy Jaka said the other time, you need some amount of money to budget for scripting and developing a story. How can I even create a budget within my production budget when I still have to genuinely create budget for Orisa? How much is my equipment? I've been in situations where equipment are being seized. I remember I was on a set in Abeokuta, plus actor, plus producer, plus director, all of us started fighting. Even my dad started fighting, but I stood at the back of Macaroni because he's big. Do you understand? In case things wants to go bad. But the point is, if we can create a saner environment, it would even help productivity. Because I got home on that day and I was watching that video and I said, there's one part I needed to reshoot. Reshoot? No, that one, they can shoot me in the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for the panel. Well, we ought to take a question or two from the audience as well. So we would like you to ask. Yes, now. So let's have at least 3 questions. We did 35 minutes. Yes, one there. One more. One more.
Where's number 1?
Number 1 is over there.
I just want to put your record. I've been bullied a lot today by all panelists and
any other person?
Only one. God will bless that one person.
After there's somebody else.
These ones can't give you money for your music. This thing, no. Okay. They want to collect from you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Osheka. I'm from Nasarawa State. That's how stars do. So, Mommy Joke, Kiekie, everyone on the panel section, I admire you guys. You guys people have been watching, and I'm so glad to be in the same room with you guys today. So, very quick one is, Kiekie, I've been watching you. Like, I was just saying something, like, you're a street person. I'm from the street, just like you said, like, you were paying some money to reach out to the street guys. Now, I'm from the street, I was born in Iwaya, and the thing is, relationship is very important, where, in a case where you have to pay 500K. Now, I have a NURTW chairman in Bariga. Now, you can reach out to the Bariga NURT chairman, one thing, speak your Yoruba, one thing. I bet you they will give you guys to be with you. But Not for free. It's exchange for value. Just as you said, there's Ogogoro, there's finance. So I appreciate that. As you, I'm an emerging creative, a founder, where I have a vision where people don't have access, just as one of the things we have here. Now, I have mentors. Even before I get admission to university, they come to me, how do I need to write this? And I'll have the opportunity to say, okay, this is how you go about it. Now, how do we create this access to the young emerging creatives? We have people finishing from secondary school, but no access, they have this talent. Please,
Okay.
how do we go about that?
So what did you say, the last part?
How do young emerging creatives have access to you stars that have made it?
Oh, okay.
I mean,
is it by DM? Hold on, let me take the second one.
Hello, I'm Wale, the Fresh by name. Ma, please, ma, I would love to. Mommy, Joke. Like, I would love to direct this question directly to you, ma. About the story that I'm trying to portray to people outside there. This story is very important about within young girls, about the prayer of low self-esteem. That my story that I would just love to share with you, just to, if any other way you can just go through my story and just have an idea or one or two things you can just check through my story. That's what I'm trying to portray to you.
There's a young lady here who has a question too, but I know she does not want to finance her music career.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. So, in response to, sorry, I don't know your name, but to what you had said.
Can you speak up a bit? Can
Hello?
you speak up?
Tell me what you want to say. She said,
Okay, I said in response to what he had said, saying that, oh, if you know the NURTW, something, that he'll give you like a discount or whatnot. I feel like that is still very unnecessary because at the end of the day, we are entitled to go to wherever you want to go to. Sure, maybe you get a permit from Lagos State government or whatever. But to now say that, oh, okay, the only way you can actually go there is if you know some particular person, some godfatherism or some nepotism, you're still giving a loophole to the problem. The problem at the end of the day is that we shouldn't go there and have to be harassed, have equipment being damaged or whatnot. So like that is the problem. If you're not saying that, oh, okay, just know this person and then you can get caught, that is still a loophole to the problem at the end of the day, and it's not solving the actual issue.
she said that TMO is a crime.
Okay. Auntie Joke wants to respond to the Auntie.
Auntie Joke, please, you have a mic, I have a mic too.
For the young man who said he'd like me to read his script, first of all, I'd like you to post your script to yourself. I always say that, so that there is evidence. It is that it is your property. Do you understand? Post it to yourself. Have the script, post it to yourself. After you have posted it to yourself, then my PA she'll give you my email address. I'll have a read of it, you know. You will give me that receipt of posting it to yourself. If I don't see that receipt, I am not going to read it, because that's how you say I steal your idea.
All right.
Okay, so now for the young lady who mentioned the fact that why do you have to go to the chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers?
Up national.
It's a structure. Do you understand? That's a structure. That's a structured in that space without any challenges. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, finally to Kiekie.
Okay, so let me I will just take the last question, which is how will emerging creators reach top creators? It's very simple. And I'll use myself as an example. I have never had to write or ask any big creator for collaboration while I was growing. I never did that. And this is why I never did that. Number one, it is expensive to produce content. So it is very interesting or very wild for anyone to expect that because I want to assist you as a growing creator, then I should take 500,000 from my account and shoot a content with you when I don't know what your capacity is or what you can do. So this is what I did. I continue to build myself. I continue working on myself. My content started getting more momentum. These big creators started seeing me and they started calling me for collaboration. I never reached out to anybody for collaboration at any point. So if you think that you're very amazing and your work is great, continue to do it. Pray to God. I'm very big on the big God. Pray to God to continue to help you. And one day they will telephone you by themselves. I say, damn man, I did it.
And you forgot to add that you also do child slavery.
Oh no, God,
Now,
Uncle
hold
Gbenga.
on. You were talking. He talked about the NURTW.
The learning I took that informed me to go with security for my other shoot. And then we met the president at Kara. I don't remember his name now. He's a young man in his early 40s. And, he speaks great English, and it was making me realize that we just sit in our own houses with our calculator and phones, and we assume that these people in Kara are illiterate. They are not. They are farmers, educated people doing amazing things with great investment. And genuinely, yes, that day, he gave us a guy that kind of guided us through Kara. In fact, the guy was so amazing that he's in that content. That person I was fighting with, that's the assistant concierge. Yeah, we paid the maybe like 5% of what I paid in Obalende. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Closing shots, Fosudo.
Question, actually. I have a question for Auntie.
Go ahead with your question.
So it's
a question for Auntie Joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do we make young creators or people who are emerging, they are working, how do they build a sustainable career and or business? Because you have this longevity in this space. I know that what worked for you may not necessarily work for us, but you have some kind of advice for longevity.
Let me quickly answer that. I think the first thing is that you need to go into this industry with a mindset of resilience. You need to go into this industry with a mindset of always being prepared to reinvent yourself. But there's something fantastic that you said, which was about education. You need to keep educating yourself. But in educating yourself for employability. Do you understand? Because I think that sometimes we educate in Nigeria, especially in the creative sector, we educate for artistic purposes, not for artistic and business purposes. So you said something that was very germane. How do I monetize what it is that I do? And so if you can keep monetizing what you do, learn how to do that. Have the support system that helps you to do that. Like, let's say, the accountant, the marketing, and all that. By the time you add all those three things, longevity is a great possibility.
Yes, by God's grace.
Applause for all the panelists.
Yeah, can we have a group picture, please? Thank you very much.
An applause for our panelists.
You guys didn't harass me as much as the first set. God will bless you. Thank you. Kiekie Odayomo. Call me anywhere you want to shoot in Lagos. Less than 950, we shoot it. 1 million bawo.
Thank you very much. I think you should be here. It's your project.
Photographers, are you okay?
Are we good?
Are you okay? You are not okay at all. Okay, let me make this interesting. When I say QED, you say NG. Are you ready? QED! NG. Thank you very much. God bless you. I'd like the publisher to remain, the convener to remain where he is. Okay. I'd like Twinkle to please join me, Twinkle and our team. Please join me. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you, boss. Mr. Olumide will be doing us the honor. I'd like to invite the representative of the chairman, Sir Demola Alade Okomo, to please step up. Twinkle, I need you at this point in time. Sorry, dear guests, the event is not over. We're still doing something very important. Twinkle team, can I have you, representative of our chairman? So good to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are saying thank you. QEDNG is grateful in appreciation for your outstanding contribution to making this event a huge success, and we thank you for your support. A round of applause for our chairman, please. The next award goes to our keynote, Sir Ife Adebayo. Sir Ife Adebayo, can we have you, please? Can we have a round of applause for iDICE? We move on to our very own MFR, Sisi Joke Silva. A round of applause for Sisi Joke Silva, please. Sisi Joke Silva, please make way for greatness. Make way for greatness. Please make way, make way, make way, make way, make way for greatness. After her, I'd like to have Mr. Efe Omorogbe, who did not scatter family. Mr. Efe Omorogbe, whose middle name is not Jude. God bless you. Thank you, Mr. Mighty. God bless you. You can go now. Please go, 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 go. I'd like to invite the Executive Director of the Video Censors Board, Nigerian Music and Video Censors, Movies and Video Censors Board, Sir Hussein, to please do us the honor of presenting first, Dr. Shuaibu Hussein, to present first to Anike Ade Funke Treasure. Anike Ade Funke Treasure. A round of applause for her, please. Is she still around? Okay. Can we give her a round of applause, please? And can the DJ give us slow music in the background? Or if the saxophonist is around, just put it in the background. Thank you very much. Anike Ade. We'll move to
Paris Bank for backing the creativity as a serious engine for our economy and culture. I also would not leave out of this gratitude our numerous partners who worked behind the scene to make this event, to make this venue, to make the entire conversation so seamless, so captivating, and so enjoying for the rest of us. Your contributions may not always be seen from the stage, but we appreciate you immensely and all the detail you put in. Every great gathering rests on people, on the shoulders of people who believe in it before everyone does. We thank our chairman, Sir Demola Aladekomo, ably represented by Mr. Gabriel Ukachukwu, for lending his wisdom and his weight to this stage. We also thank our keynote speaker, Ife Adebayo, for setting the tone with such clarity and depth in his conversation. To our panelists, Madam Joke Silva, Yibo Koko, Steve Babaeko, Bukumi Adeaga Ilori, Fisayo Fosudo, Anwuli Ojogwu, Dr. Olamide Okulaja, Efe Omorogbe, and Omotayo Inakoju. Thank you for showing up with your truth and with your invaluable insights. And to our moderators, Ikeja GRA Treasurer and Mr. Steve Ayorinde, as well as our amiable host, Mr. Benga Dinka. Thank you for leading this event with such skill and grace. And to everyone here, creative custodians, dreamers, entrepreneurs, and whatever title you decide to give yourself, thank you for spending the day with us. Nigeria's next chapter is going to be built by the conversations that we've had in this room, by the people in this room. And so I hope that the conversations that we've had here transcend beyond the four walls of this room and actually evolve into funded ideas, partnerships, and creativity that helps to move our economy forward. I hope we all get home safely and see you at the next summit. Thank you.
I told you she was my brother's creative spark. You thought I was exaggerating. I can see Olumide grinning from ear to ear. I can see Madam Antonia grinning like, we did that, you know, we did that. I want to say a big thank you to the Lagos State Government, First Bank, NLNG, Zenith, Fidelity, Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, Polaris Bank, Kunle Afolayan Production, The Cable, ID Africa, IBST, Africa Soft Power, IDCL NG, Nardos, Abelinis, eLive, GoCop, and all those that have supported in making today worthwhile. Now, we kept something for the last because only people who stay back deserve to watch this. So if the engineer is ready, we have a short spotlight video that we want to show you. Elenia, this video is in English. Would like for you to listen. God bless you. Let's go. The spotlight video. It was an alignment of culture, an alignment of talent, innovation met common interests. Engineer, can we have sound? It talks about what we're producing, value we're adding, what does it take, visibility. Okay, I'm going to allow the engineer look for the sound of this, and when he finds it, we'll start all over again. Have you found it? If you found it, just wave at me. Year, hail and hearty You'll be here again next year. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Creativity in another, technology somewhere else, and talent everywhere and nowhere at once. But serious economies do not develop in fragments. The countries and regions that shape the world align their capital with their culture, their talent with their markets, their innovation with ownership. That alignment is what creates compound interest.
We've always been exporters of our raw materials. Can we now go the full value chain locally in Africa? Because if we are producing all these ingredients here, why can't we add value to it? What does it take? What does it require?
Visibility gets you hired, but ownership gets you paid for life. Visibility is a spotlight. Anybody can turn off that light, which is what actually happened to some of us in my industry, which is actually what inspired me and encouraged me to become a producer, because I said to myself, if you won't give me work, I will give myself work.
Even as a consumer, you are an investor. So I want everyone to recognize the power you hold with your own pocket.
I think it's really critical that we just don't consume AI, that we are actually part of the architecture, right? And I think that the first principle for me is how do we make sure that AI, the African data and languages are part of AI models? Unless AI recognizes our languages, our speech, our dialects, it's not going to be able to create solutions that are going to help us solve for our African challenges.
The need exists, and we need to create wealth for these people. So how do we all here come together to create that wealth for African creators in general?
It's time for us to understand that we are actually bigger in that scale, and we can be bigger than a refinery, because content is natural. It's just like crude oil.
There's a business around creatives, and we need to participate in that to monetize.
Yeah. So I think what we sometimes forget is not one size fits all. Sometimes you need the strikers, the short-term capital, the trade finance, the dribble in the front. But sometimes you also need these really long passes from the back with capital like development banks can provide that are 20-year, 25-year